Burn them bow down, Mike and Dylan hate drama. Bow wow. Welcome back to another episode of Mike and Dylan Hate Drama, where we talk about life, what the current events. We give advice to people who want advice. Obviously, right now nobody wants advice because we're getting a lot. So what happened was in the first episodes of the podcast, we've answered everybody. Like everybody is just, they have the tools to get through life easily. And
I think it's because mom and dad have been fighting in a lot of the recent episodes, and so we're gonna try and be more peaceful.
I don't think we fought in a while.
Yeah, we fought about the fucking card games, and yeah.
And then we fought one time. We cut it out. We was like,
well, we actually have it still. Like, and I exported a version of it just in case we wanted to give it to the Patreon listeners.
Oh no, we'd have to hit like 100 Patreons if we're gonna release that. That one's a big one too. Like that one's people don't even see that's the inside fights. You got to see the one, like me and Dylan's like really getting into an argument. If I'm like, come outside so I can smoke. Like that's when we're getting into like the real arguments. And I shit you not, like people, I guess when they think, two people arguing, they think like, they carried on after
we did it the other day where we were on like our third or fourth episode that we were recording, and then me and Mike got into it about something. We didn't even save the footage for that at all because it was like early in the episode, and we're just like blah blah blah. We were fighting with each other a little bit, and then we walk outside and we're still like discussing it. Like when we fight, we bicker. Like, I mean, it's not even like passionate. Like, I mean, yes, we're passionate about what we're bickering about, but it's not like I'm not mad, you're not mad.
Right.
But like we walked outside and they're like, oh, like there's some people sitting outside at the bar and they're like, oh, you guys are arguing? I'm like, not really. Like, kind of.
It always ends with us like laughing and joking about it. What people don't realize too is friends fight. B, coworkers argue. So when you got friends who work together all fucking day, who we just worked that night up until like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Night before, yeah.
And then we come back in at 9 o'clock a.m. and we're like 4 hours into it. We're both tired. We're both like going through our own things. So when we bring something up on the podcast and it starts, usually if it can end pretty quickly and we get back to the laughing and discussing that, I'm like, that's fine. But I don't want to like send out a podcast where we're just.
Yeah, that one, the one that we have saved, it's 15 minutes of us.
15 minutes.
Debating.
Just debating, which honestly, it's kind of my fault because I had drug a previous episode, which we didn't release, into that episode, like kept, and it was just, it was for Two Daddies anyways, so that didn't even belong on Two Daddies, but Mike was just like, oh, I'm gonna make it about that. Let's see how many viewers Mike can dissuade. That's Mike's view.
Well, the problem is, and like this is what I've noticed, is like I am extremely opinionated, and until people at least like acknowledge like, oh yeah, I see your side, I just keep going and I keep going and I keep going and I keep going and I keep going, and I'm like, yeah, but you see, you're not paying attention to what I'm trying to lay out here for you. Like, you'll see it. Just let me talk for 15, 20 more minutes and you will get it by the end of this.
And then like my forehead is like made of the shit that Tonka trucks are made out of, which you used to play with as a kid. So anything he's saying is just like bouncing off of it. And I'm just like, well, if I had the information in front of me, and I have a phone right there, by the way.
I think we're pretty good at the mental gymnastics of like changing the argument that we started with to whatever the hell we want to make it like mid argument. We're like, well, yeah, but like if this detail was there, well, yeah, but this is
you straw man the fuck out of an argument. So when you straw man it and get it away from it, I try to like bring it back in. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to ever have an argument. I'm saying like a lot. I don't want to ever have an argument with Ben Shapiro because that's all he does is when you're debating against him. You'd be like, well, what about, the cost of living? People can. Are you saying that? Are you saying that hardworking people don't work hard enough to make money? And I'm like, what? That's not what I'm saying. That's not. I'm saying the cost of living is so high that even if you're working hard, are you saying people aren't working hard enough? Do you think they need to work 40 more hours a week? And shut the fuck up, buddy. I don't know how people watch the Charlie Kirks, the Ben Shapiros, the whoever the Democrats have.
The South Park. They nailed that. They nailed that in this last episode.
Well, I don't understand how people aren't like, wow, he's going to like he's debating 17-year-old kids or someone he's obviously paid to be there to say the things that he could be like, gotcha.
They covered that in the episode. But like,
oh, really?
But like,
good. Thank you, South Park.
South Park was like, because like Cartman's super mad because Clyde is now Cartman has dubbed the master debater.
Yes.
So they're master debaters, and so Cartman tries to steal it back from him, and he just goes fully like Charlie Kirk, like does the hair and makes it, and he's like, I'm master debating these 17-year-old college girls, like, and just goes through it, and it's they're so great at nailing that stuff. I know they got people kind of not people, but like the girl that is the Homeland Security or whatever, she does a lot of Botox and things like that, and so like they're like, yeah, powerful woman, you just make fun of her looks, blah blah blah. I mean, they nailed her for shooting her own dog because she did that too.
So
but
the Democrats, they have their Charlie Kirk, but this guy is, I forgot his name. God, I want to remember what he did like so well, but so he just like goes around and will just interviews people, like hands them the microphone, and it's obviously either special people who are part of like a Republican thing, or obviously somebody that's been paid to be there to say the just horrendously dumb shit.
Are you talking about the guy that like off of like the Daily Show that does it all the time?
No, not that one. I don't know who this guy is. He might be on the Daily Show sometimes. I know he's verified on TikTok. I know the funniest thing he ever did was this one guy was talking about something about, he's in an airport and he's talking about like poor people or something about poor people, and then it cuts to that guy, the guy that's talking about, he's like, so you don't want black people to go, because he heard poor and then was immediately like, oh, black people are poor, and then everybody started like jumping on him about it, and I thought that was really, I wish I fucking knew exactly what happened, but I don't really pay attention to that stuff unless one of them like fucks up, or you know, the funniest thing too with the people who debate people is we get all these new ones. We have like Ben Shapiro seems like he's been able to get through the longest, because like one will pop up and then like something will happen and it'll be like, videos of them sunbathing with some gay guys came out, and then they gotta be like, well, I'm not like gay, you know what I'm saying? I just, sometimes when I sunbathe, I'm
just
gay.
Curious.
Yeah. Sometimes when I sunbathe, I'm like, I wonder what it's like to suck a dick. But something will happen within the next 2 years with Charlie Kirk, where something will come out and it'll be some weird shit. But Ben Shapiro will do it the whole time. I think Ben Shapiro is for people who, I'm not going to say I don't think far left really fucks with Ben Shapiro, or far right fucks with Ben Shapiro because he's Jewish. Far left wouldn't fuck with him either because he's Jewish, which is a beautiful thing that the far left and far right can agree on something, even though it's terrifying for Jewish people. But I think the people who listen to Ben Shapiro want to at least try to sound like they know what they're talking about, even if it's wrong. Look, I'm the type of person that'll say Republican politicians are wrong, Democratic politicians are wrong. I love everybody that is fucking, if you're a blue collar worker, I don't give a fuck if you're Republican, Democrat. If we could sit down and joke together and have a good time, I fucking love it. All right?
See, that's the problem though, is I like all these videos of people talking about politics and everything. It's all just, you pick and choose. I mean, it's like when we're out shooting something, like you're going to pick the best takes. And so you're going to pick, if you're a right winger, you're going to pick the ones that make the left look so stupid. Haha, look at how dumb they are. And then vice versa. And the problem is though, is that then the people that watch it, that agree with whichever one they're agreeing with, they're like, oh yeah, see, they are idiots. I told you they were idiots. And it's like, no, those people are idiots, which, you know, a lot of people are ill-informed. So like it's a very easy thing to find a bunch of material, but you're also like cherry picking, like, oh, what do you think about the economic policy of how we support Israel for blah blah blah? I don't fucking know. I'm like not that deep in the sauce that I literally, paid attention to.
Donald Trump said states that don't support Israel won't get funds, like disaster relief funds, and I'm like, what a corny way to introduce who your daddy is. Like, that is
and to like, we're Americans fucking first,
right?
Like,
We're not Israelites first, and then but they back it up. They back it up with if you disagree with that take, then you don't love God. You hate God. You don't like
God?
Jesus.
Which fucking God?
The Jesus God. Jesus
but they're
God.
Jews They're not.
You ain't got to make it. You don't have to make it make sense. You don't have to. It doesn't have to make sense.
See,
all you have to say is, look, if you don't, this is how you know you're fucking up. If you're a Democrat and defending your side on a subject involves you pointing out what the other side is doing, you're probably not correct in this situation. You probably have a terrible idea of that situation. If you're on the right and your side reverts to you using God to defend your point, you're probably wrong in this situation. And God said, don't focus on the worldly things, okay? You be ready for the afterlife.
Oh, now you're going to get everybody mad.
So just Look, all I'm saying is if you're going to a perfect place, you don't have to make this place like you want it. Okay, you can go to your perfect place and have heaven and everything like that. Which I mean, I am a believer of God, and I believe in the resurrected Son, Jesus. He has different names throughout different religions. Okay, I believe in like the Antichrist, the deceiver.
You're just like trying to step all in it, aren't you?
No. But what I'm saying is we need to make this world where you can have your ideas, your values, whatever. The base of this world needs to be you get what you get what you put in. If you're putting in work to have society move forward, you should be able to live comfortably. You shouldn't have to worry about the cost of living. You shouldn't be like, man, if I lose my job, I'm fucked. If I break my leg, I'm fucked. That's what I believe in. The values, the morality and stuff like that, we could save that for the afterlife, okay? Because right now we're here. That's my whole take on it. And I love that you're passionate about your family values, your religion, all that stuff. Great, good. Unfortunately, if y'all keep arguing about that, then you're going to have to work 70 hours a week and not fucking get ahead.
Yeah, that's where we're at already. We're there.
I mean, maybe not, because the aliens in November, they're talking about that 12-mile
So
long
this
object.
same guy is the same guy that found like 2 other ones, like that weren't like, and the one was like a mile long, and I swear they said that it's like the diameter of like a fucking cigar.
Yeah.
But it was like a mile long, and so like it's just,
I'm a snake.
Yeah,
I'm a sneaky snake.
I forgot what that one was called, but it's wild that like the same guy is the one finding like multiples of these.
It's like the same every 2 or 3 years. The crazy religious people are like, all right, we have a date when the world's ending. This is it. August 12th. It'd be the August 12th.
Don't forget about forget about all the 14 other times that we said that it was gonna.
The real date. But what's good too is you could even see even religious people are like, bro, shut up. Like,
well, I think that's like back to your point about like the whole like religion thing. I think a lot of these people are honestly like looking forward to Armageddon and the rapture and like all that stuff. Like they actually are like excited about that. Like, oh yeah, woohoo, here we go. And it's like, we don't have to like try and recreate that. Like we don't have to like speed this process up. We could just like let it happen on its own timeline without like us interfering and like, trying to create like these like mass atrocities throughout the world. Like we could just let it play itself out.
Yeah, I had a preacher one time who would always talk about he wasn't gonna. He's like, my parents were the last generation that was gonna die on this earth. He was like, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm telling you right now, we are all ones that are going to get raptured. We're not going to die here. He died of like a brain aneurysm at like 91 years old. But
I didn't make it.
I saw a video just recently of a young guy saying it. He was like, how's it feel being we're not going to die. We're going to get raptured up. And I'm like, brother, you were calling upon something that you don't want to call upon right now. All right. Let it happen when it happens. Because if it happens in 200 years from now, all right, say the biblical rapture does happen, Armageddon, all that stuff. Everybody who then like was predicting, you just look dumb. If you just say when it happens when it happens, then everybody's just like, all right, I fuck with that guy. But if you're like, this is the date, you bring on the.
But how are you supposed to make your mega church the biggest mega church that's ever happened if you're not the one?
I do need to start speaking in terms of I'm going to start a mega church soon.
Yeah.
So fuck.
We got to work on that.
Yeah, I do.
Like, we went to the Concord Mills today, and I was like, in one room, there's more people than literally listen to this podcast. And I was like, we got a pretty decent like little listenership. And then I was like, wait a second, like in this like food court, there's like damn near that many people. Like,
what's so funny too though is if I did start a mega church, if I started a mega church and these clips came by and it was like, yeah, Mike doesn't love God, or you know what I'm saying, they're gonna say that, even though I'm like, I believe in God and all that stuff, and
you got to switch it around.
Yeah, I might not believe in the Bible because I understand that man can change things. If man can change things, the devil can change things. The first thing I'm gonna change is the fucking book that's wrote about me. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I'm gonna change. I'm gonna try to make that shit as divisive as fuck to get my word out. But clips could pop up of this on me. I have a mega church of 15,000 people, whole stadium,
every Sunday,
whole stadium where homeless people are not allowed shot on sight. And if a natural disaster happens, I am putting up barbed wire around my mega church because God told me to. He didn't want to mess up the new carpet that's inside. Yeah. But these clips could surface, And then I just get on stage and I'm like, that was the devil.
The devil.
That was a time when Mike, and I understand you heard me talking about a megachurch, but that was the devil talking. Now that I have the megachurch, it's a God. God speaks through me, not the devil. It's just God. And everybody in the
That's why I need
congregations like,
my
look,
13th
Mike is the
jet.
he's the perfect example of what. Look at him. That's a godly man. And not everybody's. That's why not everybody's perfect. That's what I'm trying to say. But now I am, because I have it all put together now.
And if y'all could pass around this plate so I could get my 13th private jet, we gotta proselytize.
Dylan, lock the doors back there. Lock the doors back there. We ain't leaving until we get 75 for $80,000. That's what God just told me right now. That was the funniest when everybody making fun of the preacher that was like, lock the doors until we get $75,000.
That actually happened?
Yes, that actually happened. That actually happened. But that's why, man, a mega church, you got to think in one Sunday, $75,000.
Not bad. Not bad.
I feel the Holy Spirit, Dylan. I feel it in my body.
Well, the crazy thing is it doesn't matter. Like, you can have a church anywhere. Like, I mean, there used to be a Harris Teeter here up by Lowe's, and now it's a church. And like, you go, where's the other one that there's like just a small little shack.
I would use that.
Church.
I would use that in my church. I'd be like, if you're sitting here today and you're just sitting here and you get a whiff of bread, that's the body. That's the body of Christ in here. And that means you should give 5 times more offering if you smell the scent of bread in here. Not that it was it was an old Harris Teeter. There was plenty of bread up in that bitch. So,
or you just have like everybody cooking bread.
Hell yeah. I would look in my church. I would have like little tectonic plates underneath that electronic plates that
just to move it,
just rattle, and I'm like, that's God right there.
I remember when I was it's crazy because I feel like the member berries from South Park, but there were these I think they were called bass shakers, but you could like mount them on your seats so that when you had the bass rumble in like your stereo in your car or like in your home theater, it wasn't so much about hearing the bass. It was that like you would hear a little bit, but then your seat would actually like rumble with the vibration of the sounds.
I've never gotten why people want a strong bass.
Well, I mean, for like movies and stuff, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, not movies. I'm talking about in their car, and you can't hear a bit of the music anymore. All you can hear.
Well, if it's balanced right, then it's more so about the feeling than it is about the sound of it at all. Because the sound is not.
Did you hear about the guy passing away at Bowman Gray?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, had a heart attack. No, he had a heart attack before the race happened. So
a driver though.
My daughter goes every weekend. This
really?
weekend she didn't go because they were doing the getting ready for school and stuff like that. So her grandpa goes, and he told us about it. And then what's so funny too is I was looking like on the page, and one of his family members were like, "Yeah, he had a heart attack," because everybody was saying the throttle got stuck and he smacked to a wall and died. But all his family members.
So he was driving though. Like, I mean,
yeah. Okay. The race starts and everybody goes around the lap, and he just goes straight. So I look at my wife and I'm like, "Oh yeah, he had a heart attack." She was like, "You really need to wait for like an official source before you say with such confidence about how somebody died." And I was like, "I just got it from the closest people to him, just the people that are around him all day. That's that was my source, but I'll shut up." So today, fast forward to today, and I kind of reenact that in the kitchen with my wife. I'm like, "Yeah, it's crazy. He died from a heart attack." It's almost like I got that from people who were related to him. And she was like,
were there.
Yeah. And then I started like mocking what she said that night. And she's like, "That's not how it went." Women, look.
It's like arguing with me.
It's like arguing with Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro, any of the Democrat people. They got to do better, man. Because like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, their names. The Democrat people, I just got calling the Democrat people who fucking, but that's like them. They argue like women do. They're just like, no, that didn't happen like that. That's not how you remember it. Let me throw you off on this different argument right here. Well, why are you always leaving the refrigerator open? I'm like, well, no, we're talking about because you can't close a refrigerator.
Yeah, and that's why our electric bill's so high.
Yeah, and speaking of, you don't even know how an electric bill works. And I'm like, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about.
Are we still talking about the racing guy?
No, we're talking about how you don't know anything about electricity. Okay, even though you took a class in college for electricity, and how did that pan out for you? You an electrician now? No, I'm not an electrician because.
Fuck trade schools, huh?
He said that it didn't count any.
That was one of our debates too.
What?
Trade schools.
But look, we both have different stuff. Now, Dylan will be like, "Well, did you do it?" No, Then he'd be like, well, how are you going to speak on it? Cause I see.
I mean, there's a lot of shit that I don't do that I
Right,
speak
yeah.
on too, so.
There's just like there's like data on it and stuff like that. Just because one person went through it just doesn't mean like statistically you have like stuff. And also the things that I'm saying is, well, it just kind of feels like this. So it's literally one person being like, well, you can't argue on it if you've not done it. And the other person was like, well, it kind of feels like. So not only are we having an argument, which is super fucking cringe, we're having an argument on shit we don't know about. That's the best. Like, imagine two people having a heated debate.
See, that's what this show is like based around. And like, I feel like that's what, but then like seeing our numbers as of late, I'm just like, well, maybe we don't argue as much.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's just people get caught up.
Yeah.
Like no one's watching 2 episodes a day anymore. We're releasing, 2 times a week, and then we have the Patreon episodes, which the Patreon is good, guys. If you want,
I gotta figure that out because like we are facing an issue with that. Like it's basically like if we had not opened subscriptions on Spotify, it would have been fine. But since we did that, it won't connect, which makes no sense at all. It just does not make.
We'll figure it out. We'll get into and also the cool thing with the people from Patreon too is that if someone goes to Patreon, that means they like us. So if like we're having technical difficulties, because when we started Patreon, we weren't allowed on there for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the Patreon people were like, we'll
write it out with
like,
you.
Yeah, we understand.
We did have one person cancel, and they're like, in the comments for why they canceled it. They're like, the guys said they can't log into their Patreon, so like I'm just gonna quit paying until they get it fixed.
Right, yeah. We don't want to just give money to Patreon. We did get back in it. But I do think we're gonna start turning the corner. Mike, had a really good idea so skits are fine to do. I don't want to start doing skits if they're all over the place and we're kind of like investing a lot of money into the skits, because that makes it difficult. Like a lot rides on the skits being seen by people and whether or not YouTube's going to be like, oh, well, we can't monetize this skit because we're not going to monetize it, but it's going to be your biggest fucking video on the page too. That shit irks me like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, nah, we ain't going to monetize this, but we'll give it 2 million views. And I'm just like, you sons of bitches. Like you could have just.
I mean, I'm cool with them giving it 2 million views though.
Right. But so we're going to start doing skits for YouTube and the short form platforms. And it's pretty much going to be where my pre-Civil War ancestor, we got the things for it. He's going to speak in like an old Savannah accent. It's going to be real nice, but I'm kind of guiding him through modern day life and different takes on things and like how life's going. Just give you a general idea. Remember, we shit on Republicans and Democrats. We got a lot of funny things.
You don't got to give them any ideas.
Just save it.
Yeah.
Just save it. But yeah, so Dylan's going to his high school reunion. These will probably be out towards the second to last week of August. The first one will probably drop. Obviously, we'll tell you when the first one drops. But if you follow us on, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you go, they're not just going to be on YouTube. We're going to take them. Do the short form thing. Obviously, the best looking version is going to be on YouTube. Doesn't that piss you off when we put the best looking version on YouTube, and then the short form platforms get the
most views,
the vertical view, and it's like you don't even see us on the screen at the same time. We ain't doing that, by the way. We ain't doing all that. That's hard, and it involves me getting dressed in public like 4 times. Now, what I might do is, and this kind of sounds smart, when I get the get up for both of them, I might just have a outfit, just like a plain white t-shirt and like some thin shorts where I could just like put the pants over, put my regular pants over, whatever.
Yeah.
But
so you don't got to get naked for every time.
Yeah. Modern day Mike will wear the same thing every episode. And then the country ancestor will wear the same thing every episode. And it's just like he's explaining like streamers and politics and hardworking people. I'd be like, man, that man works all day, 70 hours. I bet he has just so much property and horses, and he lives in comfort. And I was like, no.
He's scraping by. Like he's the taxes on his house went up. They tripled over the past like 4 years because house values, and so.
See, you could be explaining that because Dylan's going to be on a lot of the skits too now since he doesn't give a fuck anymore. At first he wouldn't be because he was like, I got a business that I got to, and a lot of the skits would be like fucked. And now he's just like, yeah, I'll be in it. But yeah, Dylan could be explaining that and be like, well, that happened to my daddy, and then he just started killing people with a bunch of his friends, and then they started calling this place America instead of the 13 colonies. We just became America. They did that. Why don't y'all do that? And be like, because it's illegal, bro. Like, you can't do it. He'd be like, oh, it's illegal. Oh, okay, it's illegal. Yeah, I guess when my daddy heard that it was illegal to do that, he was probably like, imagine him hearing that and just being like, well, I shouldn't overthrow this government because it's illegal.
They have these cool little machines. They fly like this, and they can carry weapons underneath them, and they can fly anywhere, and they can like literally.
Because he could be like, look, I can show you boys how to do a revolution, all right? And then we explain to him what a
drone is.
Armed drone is. He's like, so they got little mini aircraft? Yeah, they just fly with a remote control. They ain't even got to fight.
Wait, and sometimes they just have them where they just lock on their own and they just follow you?
And there's a heat seeking. It reads your body temperature and it can just...
So you can't hide? No?
Well, then what I would say is why ain't you working 100 hours a week? You need to get ahead. You work 100 hours a week, all right? And I for one, will never talk shit about the government. We're excited to do those two. And obviously, naturally, with us actually shooting skits, we're going to bring in money regardless because, I don't know. It just gets really... What's the word?
Because it could not pan out. I mean, that's one of the things is we always constantly are like so optimistic with what the next thing is. And
it's just short form skits. So on Facebook, regardless, it'll bring in a little bit of money. Yeah. On TikTok, it won't bring in fucking nothing because I post something on TikTok. They're like, we're going to give this 500 views. I'm like, I got like 2 million followers. And they're like, 500 views.
Oh, put a TikTok shop on it.
Does this have TikTok shop on it? No, 500 views. But...
we just always sell hats.
Oh no, we're going to also go against the grain too. Mikey's tired. Look, you getting Mike's villain arc when it comes to these skits too, because we're going to talk about race and all sorts of shit. And the one
you should list more things than just race, so that
race and black people and Mexicans,
bigotry,
bigotry,
sexism,
prejudice, sexism. Oh God, I can't wait for the one about the. Problem with relationships is you can't. When me and your great grandma will get into an argument, I take you out to the city. All right, I take her to see the light because we only had one of them. There was only one. This is when electricity just first started. They just figured out how to bottle that shit or something. I don't know, but they had one light and they'd light that shit up, and I'd be like, wow, that's never going to overtake candles. I was wrong. All right, I look around. Yeah, I see I was wrong. But she enjoyed the city. We go stop by the stables. They used to have stables, thousands of horses. Your grandma, great grandma. She loved the horses, boy. She loved looking at them, looking at the big buildings, man. They had some 20 feet high. You would have been like, wow, man, look at that. I mean, you wouldn't because y'all gay and got all these big ass buildings and shit like that. Y'all don't understand how to be appreciative of what you got. But then I take it to the courthouse, and I take it right to the steps of the courthouse and beat her vigorously on them steps. And pretty soon she would see my side, she would understand where I was trying to get at with the argument. And it's like, y'all can't do that anymore. Or we'll just be like, we can't do that anymore. It's like, you could do it inside your own house now. That's what a step through in, like, what a big upgrade in society that you can now do it inside of your own house. No, you can't do it at all. It's illegal. You can't.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Right. You can't beat your wife on the steps of a courthouse or inside of your own home. That's crazy, man. Pretty soon they're going to make it to where women can just beat men and nobody bats an eye. And then I'm just sitting there just like,
that is actually what
that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Yeah. Nobody talks about that, do they? But yeah, I got a lot of great shit. And it's just a take on just life and stuff. So every single one of them will be great. I wish we were doing this with before War of the Worlds came out though, because Jesus Christ, I would have so much material for that. Me and him watching War of the Worlds together, and he'd be like, so.
Well, you didn't finish it, so you can still have plenty more material to go through after
what do you
finish
mean?
It. You only made it.
Oh no, it's old news. By the time we get, because it's going to be later in August that these drop anyway, so it'll be way old news by then.
Done well, it's still in the zeitgeist.
Nah, you want it when everybody's searching it. That's what's going to be good about this too, is it's not just work stuff. It's everything. Like, he could be at work with me. They're like, why you let that man speak to you like that? Because if I don't, then I don't eat. He's like, yeah, but you can go out and you can procure your own food. You can build your own. How the fuck am I build my own house? You go cut down a couple trees. Where? On whose property? Well, not on somebody's property, just on the land. Ain't no more the land. Like, if people don't own it, the government owns it. But the government can't own land. That they can. There's so much shit. I'm so excited to get into these.
See, I don't think that one plays just because somebody's always owned the land. There's never been a time that the land wasn't owned.
Yeah, but I think that even, like, during, say, like the Louisiana Purchase and stuff after I think that was after, yeah, that was definitely after, because that was fucking Thomas Jefferson was president when that happened. So obviously we had already, but yeah, you just went over there and just started chopping down trees and was just like, I own this.
Well, no, you had to like procure.
This is my land right here.
Yeah. You still had to buy it.
That's where old George lives at. Well, they didn't have enough governing body to see who was living up there too. So
yeah,
if you had already built a house and stuff like that, and they'd be like, all right, and then how much land do you own? I'd be like, well, 500, and then you see them 300 acres, and be like, okay, that's more. That's okay. That's how much. Fuck, man. That's why vampires. If I met a vampire today, okay, and they've been like, yeah, I've been alive for 500 years. I'm like, you work at a fucking speedway? Like, how is this? He's like, yeah, I'm just
really bad with money.
Yeah, I'm really bad with money. And it's just like something I've never been able to figure it out, because you literally lived through the 1800s, 1900s, where you could just be like, yeah, I shine. So, you know, the cushions that go on seats, I shine those. You just bring them by here, I shine them while you're at work. That's how I afforded this house and that house over there, just from shining seats. And today you'll be like, yeah, man, I got 2 jobs. My wife's got 3 jobs. Our kids, man, I don't like to say this, but they work sometimes and we barely get by. Fucking got them out there just babysitting the kids, because if you and your wife works, that's the most fucked thing too, is they're like, look, we're going to fuck the economy so much where people could barely get by that now your wife has to go work 70 hours a week. And then I was like, well, now that we made the wife work 70 hours a week, what's up with that daycare? All right, you want your kid watch? Fine.
I don't see how people afford
$600 a week.
That's crazy.
It's stupid. It's dumb. And
well, especially because they're probably still, you got 20, 50 kids, whatever, at a daycare. They're still probably paying those fucking daycare workers like 12, 15 bucks.
Not minimum wage. They get $7.50 an hour. That's 25 cents more than minimum wage. So $7.50. They really do get paid like $8 an hour. That's
but then
crazy.
There's like 50 kids there, and so how much does that equal out to? Like,
and they'll be like, daycare worker leaves child in hot car. Well, they're watching 900 kids. They're poor, so they probably got a second job.
Well, they don't get any sleep because they've got 3 jobs that they're working. Yeah.
Daycare worker punches kid. I was like, She got off her Wendy's job, you know what I'm saying? Just had to get in there. She's had 4 hours of sleep all week, struggling to get by. People were like, well, just get a better paying job. Okay, bro. Those are in like factories. And a lot of the times, like, you got to yeah, I know a lot of them, but they're in like factories where you could be, it's like, can you withstand 130 degrees temperatures? Mm-hmm. Can you lift 50 pounds? Why are you asking me that?
100 pounds from time to time.
Yeah, 100 pounds time to time, and 50 pounds constantly throughout the day in 130 degree weather without dying. Can you do that without dying?
I mean, I'll probably have heat stroke a couple days out of the week.
That's fine. We're going to blame that on energy drinks, and not that we don't have an air conditioning system in this place, but as long as
no, they've got those really cool I can't even remember, coolie fans or whatever, where the old moldy musty water goes over top of the cardboard and the fan's blowing.
Bro, that's how, like, I thought we had it made when we had one of those.
Oh, dude, they're
yeah. That's how I was just grateful that I was making $20 an hour and that I could feed my family. At $20 an hour, I came from a poor family. When I was making boxes and shit, operating, I was just like, man, this is it. Like, I have achieved wealth. Like, I am. And then I talk to some people and they'd be like, yeah, I make $250,000 a year. I work 36 hours a week. And I'm just like,
I went to a trade school.
Yeah. Oh man, trade guys be like, yeah, I'm probably going to take the next 4 days off. And yeah, I did. We had a really good week, maybe about $4,000 or $5,000. I'm like, how? And it was like, oh, well, you didn't have a daddy to say, hey, go do this, because you could sell this skill. You can't just go make boxes for people. You can't just have your own box making side hustle. But if you were to learn how to weld, plumb, electric, any of this stuff, you could do your own side hustle. Technically, you wouldn't even have to work. Like, as long as you didn't list it as a job and you just had enough people in your community that knew you and you just handled all that shit, you'd be fucking set.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to tell the government about that. It's like, how do you fucking pay for this house? Well, my fat mom.
Cash.
Yeah, my fat mom got that Social Security. That's what it affords a house like that. But yeah. Thank you, fat mama. She was a big girl.
Oh, fat mama.
getting $1,200 a month. That's how we afforded all that right there. He's like, that's crazy. That is one thing though, guys. If to the listener right here, if you're in a factory and it's hot and stuff like that, just start watching YouTube. That's how I'd start doing it. Figure out what trade.
When I was going to architecture, like at the community college, learning about architecture and everything, I had talked to my buddy and I was like, dude, we just need to go into like one of these nice fucking neighborhoods in Greensboro and just, run a survey. Like, where do you work? What do you do? Like, what's your hours? Blah, blah, blah. And just like walk through and figure out, like, a lot of them are going to be lawyers and doctors and like things like that. But there's got to be some ones in there where you're just like, you do that and live here? How do I start doing that? Because like not everybody is in, like, I mean, you could be in medical for sales. Like my brother doesn't have like a education for that, but he's in medical sales. Had he jumped
selling just
to the
oxygen tanks and shit.
Well, he's selling like, surgical steel that goes in your body and everything, but like, and he works a shit ton. So like, it's not like, but he's making bank doing what he does. But it's one of those things where like, you think that you have to be the doctor, you have to be the lawyer in order to make, $300,000 a year. No, you can technically just be good at selling shit. And right. If you find the right industry to get into. And so, yeah, like I wish I would have done it. I really honestly wish I would have done it because I thought of the idea and I was like, fuck it. And kept on with architecture. Then by 2008, I had to get out of that because the economy crashed and then went to a factory.
It's so wild here, and I had to get out of that by 2008 because I was just like, I was in school.
Well, yeah, I mean, I graduated high school in 2005 and then went to community college. Community college until 2007. Basically, I started at the architecture firm in 2006 and then was there for like, I guess I actually left the architecture firm in 2009 because the economy crashed in 2008 and we kind of just rode it for a little while, but nobody was building anything. And so it was either me or the guy that worked next to me, one of my good friends at the time. And I knew that if it was between the two of us, he was going to get to keep his job and I wasn't going to get to keep mine. So I was dating a girl and her dad was the plant manager at a factory. So I was like, you guys hiring? And so went over there and went from $11 an hour at the architecture firm to $11.50 over there at the factory.
Moving on.
Because I lied to them. They're like, how much money you make? I was like, $11.50. And they're like, okay, we can take you for that.
Damn, they should wish you would have lied a little bit harder, right?
Yeah, I don't think they would have pretty much hired me for much more.
When I got the job at the box shop, they were like, you've ran a machine before, right? No,
yeah.
I worked all restaurant jobs and in my brain, machine operator, machine. Like, through life, you see washing machine, dishwashing machine.
Yeah, see, I work a microwave and a stove.
So I was like, look, this is not going to be that hard. Yes. So then they show me this, 66-inch rotary die cutter. And I'm like looking at this trailer size machine, mobile home size machine. And I'm just like, I have 2 weeks before I get fired. Like I'm doing it in my head 2 weeks before I get fired. But thankfully, because they were going to train for 2 weeks, put me on third shift because I was like, oh yeah, I got plenty of experience and all this stuff. Pick shit up real quick. I'm a fast learner. What yada yada yada. Give them the whole spiel because they said top pay was $17.50 an hour, and I was like, the most I had ever made was $9.
I'm going to be a millionaire. Is that what you just said?
You're giving me fortunes beyond my belief for doing this. Okay, all right. Yes, I know everything to do with this. So the assistant that we had at the time. Because you have the machine operator and then you have the assistant, and the assistant like runs the machine while the operator's out. You try to teach him everything. But this assistant he was like, real comfortable with just being an assistant. So I get down there, and a lot of the times, like when you got leeway at the box shop, it was because you were the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was your time to get randomly drug tested,
they'd let you know a little bit beforehand.
They'd run down there and just be like, right out the side door, and I'll say you weren't here. Like, you know what I'm saying? If they had an idea that you were doing drugs. But they called the assistant for a drug test like 3 days into it. I'll tell you another funny story about. So when I started there, my first day, he walks up to me and he just tells like a racist joke with no like well thought out punch. Like if you could tell me a racist joke that's like funny outside of the box, maybe the joke is insinuated, whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
If it's just a blank stereotype, bam.
Yeah.
I'm saying the N-word during this, then it's not that good. But I look up dead in his face after he tells me that, and I'm like, yeah, well, my wife's black and my daughter's mixed, so. And he's just like, listen, bud, I was like, well, jokes are.
I don't actually hate
yeah, he's
black
like, yeah,
people.
I don't really think. And I'm just like, calm down, bud. It's like fine. And he's like,
That was a joke.
he was actually he was a real fun guy. But they call him to get the drug test, and he had smoked the weekend before, so he came clean about it, thinking like, I'm gonna come clean, and they fired him. And he had only smoked that one time, and I was like, that probably wouldn't even have popped up on the drug test. Yeah. Just
roll the dice.
He took a couple hits, and he told him, he was like, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, and they're like, all right, well, you're fired. So then I got to be the assistant for him so I was going to get 2 weeks of training. I probably got like 2 months while another guy came in and trained, and then he quit because it was like, fuck this job's hard as fuck, and kind of rotated people in and out. So when I go on my own down there and it's time for me, I forgot everything that I learned on first. And there would be some days I'd just be covered head to toe in ink, and they'd be like, what could possibly happen for you to look like that? And I was like, things just started happening and I did not know how to control it. So whatever. And I'm going through this like week after week, covered in shit, tired, like fucking confused every day that I leave. And one day I'm walking out and I got like covered in ink, looked like I just went through war. Half the things I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I'm sending stuff out. Hopefully it's good. And I walk by the plant manager. He's like, man, you're doing a real good job. And I'm like,
Thanks you, boss man.
Who the fuck have you been watching work? And then he kept saying that too. And I was like, man, this guy fucking, he don't know what good work is. And eventually over time, I started to get a really good hold of it. Probably took me. So what happened is when I went to go do it, I'm a month in, I go to my shift alone to do it. They're paying me like $9 an hour temp money. And I get my check and I open it up and it's like $12, $13 an hour that I got paid for. And I was like, oh no, they fucked up. Like, I don't know if I should go spend this money because they had my hours listed wrong. So I went and talked to Steve, who the supervisor that all the Mike skits are named after.
Cool guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy.
And he was like, yeah, why am I going to be like, he's down there by himself doing it. It doesn't matter how fucking, what, if you're doing a bad job or a good job, you're down there by yourself doing it. You're not going to get paid $9 an hour. So you could be like, fuck this, and then walk out. So I was like, oh, fuck. So I show my wife that. She's like, well, baby, we made it. this is it. We made it. Like, good God. And then after a while, I'm getting the hang of it, and I'm doing what I think is good. My numbers are now comparable to the first and second shift guys. Well, they're beating the second shift guys. It's the first shift guy I want to beat, but I'm doing well, and I get the top pay. So our plant manager, which very eccentric guy. Like in a meeting, he'd be like, I got a long swinging dick, boy, and I'll swing it around here however the fuck I want to. He was mad when it was time to be mad, he was mad. Yeah. But normally he was just like a cool guy, and he's very approachable too. But he would tell me every day, even if I was doing a shit job, he was just like, cuz when a man's leaving work and he's tired, if you tell me he did a good job that day,
makes you feel good.
Yeah, he's like, that's a whole different mindset. Yeah. He's like, you just worked 12 hours fucking sweating, thinking everything you did wrong, and then at the end of the day, someone's like, good job. It changes the whole perception of how you did. And then there'd be some days he'd be like, where the fuck is Michael Wright in these fucking meetings? He was like, somebody go out there and tell his fat ass to get the fuck in here. And they come down there and tell me, because I'd still be like at the machine or something talking to the fucking first shift operator. And I'd be like, he said what? And I quote, and I quote. But what's cool there too is you could fucking, like, a supervisor come up to you and they're like fucking jawing at you. Well, you'd be like, shut the fuck up, bro. I'm down here trying to fucking operate this goddamn shit. And then they would take you to the office and be like, well, he cussed at me, fire him. And he would be like, well, did you cuss at him? And he's like, yeah. Well, then how about y'all fucking whiny bitches get the fuck out of my office and go work? Yeah. So that was the dopest environment. But also when I became supervisor at the other plant, I kind of took that with it too.
What, of like building people up?
No. We could be argumentative and kind of say what we want. Because there was one guy who would always complain about the operator being real rough on him. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, I was like, did your parents know that they raised a pussy? And I'm just playing. Like, I'm not really saying that to you. He went and reported me to HR. And then the best part too so back during that time, I was very like left leaning. I was in thick on the
Woke.
On the wokeness, yeah, I was bought in, bro. There was like
social justice
it was like
warrior.
Black people
Yeah.
are hurting, and I was like, I want to save them. I'll save all the black people. But we had just had a guy came in. Now, the plant manager, everybody above the plant manager, real Republican guys. We play poker and stuff like that. They're real Republican guys. So we had this temp come in who was gay. All right, and they quit because they're like, this job is very, 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 very hard, and I don't want to do it. But the reason they put for the reason that they quit is because I was being homophobic towards them. God, that's the funniest fucking HR meeting, because we sit in there and we have the general managers in there, and we do not agree on politics at all. No, at all. Like I said, I'm real woke and he's not. So he was like, listen, I could probably believe him if he accused anybody other than him. Anybody else other than him, I could believe it. I was like, he's not going to be the one to say that. Like, I'm going to be a dick, but I wouldn't be a dick about, like, I wouldn't joke about race and stuff like that, sexual fucking
preferences,
orientation or whatever. But yeah, when he was just like, if he said anybody else, yeah, sure, I could get, but him, no. And then HR was like, all right, so closed? And they're like, yeah. And I go back. Now, I went up there one time and I forgot what the fuck I had said. But apparently he had felt threatened by the way I said
the
it.
gay guy?
No. This was one of the operators. He was a little dude, like a $110, 30-year-old or 25-year-old man, whatever. But I said something just like matter of factly, and I was like, we ain't going to discuss it anymore. And he took that as no more talking.
Whoop your ass.
We're going to fight, which is so funny too, because I said this to old crackhead guy that he was so fun to work with, but he would like snap. His whole personality would change at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And he would want to fight somebody. And I'd be like, look, you can't fight the operator, because I'm training him and he has an operator. The operator doesn't really know what he's doing because he's training to be an operator. And he'd be like, man, we always got bad numbers because of you. I was like, it doesn't matter, because you come in here, you work your shift. It doesn't matter if you get good numbers, bad numbers.
Yeah, you just leave.
We don't get any more money based on either one. They don't do bonuses here. We don't get any money based on either one.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't see what you're saying. I'm gonna be angry and I'm gonna beat CJ's ass. And I'm like, no, we don't do that. So one day I tell him, I'm like, look, man, I'm done explaining it to you. And he was like, oh, so what we doing? I was like, I'm not gonna fight you. We had one guy, he was like a Crip, and I loved him. But me and him are talking. I'm not gonna put his name in. I usually throw people's names out there. But
you could just say operator.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He talked about all the beats he made for all these famous rappers and stuff. And I was like, okay, bud. But we're sitting there talking, and this guy's a Crip. He's got like a blue bandana and stuff like that. And he's going, who? Talk about who, like in the story. He's like, you a motherfucking owl, man? And then like literally like the fucking Crip said something. This dude was the epitome. He's like 5'4", the epitome of
little man syndrome.
Yeah, wind blows, and I was, and that felt like a challenge to me, because he starts like closing his lid. He's like getting up, and every single body is holding the little guy back, while the 6 foot tall dude Crip was just like, not getting held back, because he's like, well, I'm tough, yada yada yada. And then he was like, well, I'm gonna go to my truck, see how tough you are. And we knew too, like there is.
That's the Crip, or that's the
no
the little guy.
We called him Dirt. All right. We knew that he was not playing. If he was going to go to his car, there was a higher than 0% chance that he would come back with a gun, just because we knew his personality too.
Yeah.
But that's what I got. Like, I got in trouble for twice, because when I said I'm tired of explaining it to him, and then I said I'm tired of explaining it to him. So then I go to HR and I'm like, I said I was tired of explaining it, and she was like, well, can you see how that sounds threatening? I'm like, not even a little bit.
No, I'm literally just saying, like,
I'm tired of explaining something 6 times. I'm tired of explaining it. How does that sound? And she was like, well, it sounds like you're trying to fight somebody. I'm like, it does not ever.
Now, if you were taking your shirt off while you're doing it, like, I'm tired of explaining it.
I couldn't do the supervisor thing, though, too, because, like, there's a difference between playing around and being a dick and then having to tell everybody they have to work on Saturday when we're ahead. And then the whole time I got the production manager just being like, well, just think how good it's going to look. Nobody gives a fuck about how good it looks. Everybody gives a fuck about spending time with their family. But he's the reason I started the felonious falafel videos.
See, that's the thing, is when I left my last job, like, I was basically right about to be in the supervisor position, and there was nothing about that I wanted. Like, I mean, yes, the pay, fantastic, but outside of that, like, I don't want to tell people, yeah, like, you know, like, especially because we were working 24/7, 365, like, somebody was working every minute of the day for the whole year, like, forever. And so, like, to tell people, like, oh, sorry, like, you're gonna miss your kid's birthday, you're gonna miss Christmas with them,
Yeah.
you're gonna miss Thanksgiving, you're gonna miss their recitals, like, unless you just have your fucking vacation worked out perfectly, like, you're gonna miss a lot of shit. And like, I can't do anything about that. And like, so just watching like my supervisor have to go through that with people. And like, I mean, a lot of the people there were like young guys that were just fucking hungry. And so they're like, I'll take your shift. I'll work. If like, and so a lot of that stuff.
I'm under this truck payment that I cannot, I have to pay $1,600 a month.
Yeah, they had fucking like $1,200 truck payments. And I was just like, just don't buy the fucking house truck, like the $125,000 truck. Like, it's cool. I agree. That thing looks fucking cool.
But if you're ugly, bitch is going to be like, man, look at that really ugly guy driving that nice truck.
But my fucking first house cost $123,000. So like, yeah, like that's crazy. It's crazy, bud. And especially when you're trying to pay it off in fucking 7 or 8 years at like, 7% interest rate. Like,
and it's hard too, because you do see kind of some of what these companies complain about getting guys in there and, if you go through a temp service where there's no what's the word for it? You don't care where people, there's no expectation of the people you're bringing in. You're going to have an incredibly high turnover rate. The worst part is teaching someone how to read a tape measure. Because when I started working, I don't want to sound like a jackass, but I went through 3rd grade where we used rulers and stuff like that. So I could be like, 1 inch, 1/8, half an inch, 3/8. It's 3/4, and they're like, wow. And you worked in a restaurant? And I was like, yeah, restaurant, Biscuitville. Made some bland ass biscuits. I don't know why people eat that shit, but yep, that's what I did. And they're like, you know how to read tape measure. And I was like, why are you guys acting like,
are you guys trying to get people?
I was like, you went through 3rd grade, right? Everybody went through 3rd grade. And then I started training people and I'd be like, all right, so you know how to read tape measure? And they'd be like, what the fuck is, why would you assume I knew what that was? Firstly, I am now insulted that you have named things that I don't know what they are without showing me what they are. And I'm like, okay, so in school when you had rulers, and he was like, no, what? Who measured things in school?
You mean that long straight thingy?
Yeah, that long straight thingy with the words on it. Yeah, so but you always got the best readings from it because you'd be like, how long is that? And they'd be like 32 and 1, 2, 3 of the little lines. You got that one big one in between. So I'm like, all right, 32, 3/16. And I'm just like writing everything down. I learned how to just interpret it in a different style, but it was so baffling. And then you would get guys who are, once you get like a guy who's 32 to 40 and they've had a lot of experience, they know how to read a tape measure, they know what they're doing. You're just like, at a certain point, you're like, yeah, but what's wrong with them? Like, you don't want to just assume. You don't want to be like, well, the economy's tough. Because if you work in a factory, the good thing about a factory and the hard work and shit like that is you can go to another factory where nobody wants to work and you can go work there tomorrow.
And be king shit of shit mountain.
Like, right, yeah, absolutely. If you know what you're doing, like I could go to a box shop right now and they'd just be like, yeah, can you start now? Can you go, we ain't even going to drug test you, honestly. Just, can you go start doing it?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, what's, like, maybe, they lost a job. So they went through a temp service and that's how it is. And then, they work real good for the week. And then Friday comes along and they're just sitting there like, yeah, my mom right now, man, she's going through it, brother. And, I'm gonna have to go home and be with her. And you think they took all of it? Yeah, you think they fucking took it? They're on their phone. You think they took all? Yeah, my wife's saying that my mom's heart's. I was like, it sounds like you got robbed for your meth, buddy, because I could see you on meth. Right? It sounds like you got robbed for your meth, so you got to go check on my. Nah, man, it's my mom. It's not the meth. It's my mom. And we had one forklift driver. Great.
Yeah.
Every forklift driver that we got that was amazing. I was just like, fuck. Like, something was always, and it wasn't like a little thing that was wrong. It was, you can't work here anymore, dog. So the first one we got, he was amazing. Great. He had came over from the High Point plant. But he started working over there. Well, on Saturday, he went to work at the High Point plant, got into a fight with the supervisor. So they let him go. And I was like, well,
that was over there. You can just bring it back over there.
It's not over here. And they're like, no, he's a very violent individual.
No, just bring it back over here.
He was screaming, I kill everybody. I kill y'all. I kill everybody. I was like, we never seen that side of him. So if you just want to bring him back over here, he's never claimed to kill anybody. The next guy we get, he goes out to his car during lunch and says that somebody stole an ounce from his car. He tells me about that. And I'm like, what do I do with that information? Because you're telling me they stole your drugs.
Yeah.
They stole your drugs. So he leaves and tells me that he yells to the guys over at One Machine who had nothing to do with him. He misplaced his drugs. That's what happened.
You know that for a fact?
Yes. Oh, God. Yes. So, and it's just the most baffling shit.
Isn't that so funny though when that happens? It's like, somebody stole my shit. Somebody stole it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I
know
found
I
it.
overreacted.
I found it, but
he looked at him. He said, yeah, when I get back, I'm airing this whole place out. And I'm like, you just said that in front of everybody on the floor. I have to now call somebody.
Yeah.
So I call the production manager. I'm like, hey, bud. So a guy started accusing some of and everybody smokes weed. Yeah. Everybody. And I'm talking to the production manager. And he's like, he's accusing none of our guys even do that stuff. And I'm just like, that's what I said. That's what I told him.
That's exactly.
None of them are thieves. Yeah. I can tell you that. None of them are thieves. Everybody smokes. And I was just like, that's what I said. And he said he was going to air the whole place out. So he comes up there and he like lines up. He has cops like he's fucking, I don't know, he's in with them. I got to tell y'all stories about this guy one day because he was the type, he was a character. He started Felonious Falafel, but he was a character.
He was the guy that made you pissed off enough to do it?
Yeah. So the place is lined up with cops and the guy comes back and he does have a weapon on him. But when he gets out the car, he's just like, hey, guys, I understand. Like, the cops are up to him. It's like, get on the ground, get on the fucking ground. So he's like on the ground. He's like, I understand. I said I was going to kill everybody, okay? I have misplaced something that was in my car. And then because I misplaced it, I assumed somebody stole it. So and if somebody stole your stuff, and he's explaining this while he's in very calm demeanor.
With guns pointed at him?
Yeah, they decided to let him go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did not quit. They decided to let him go. So.
Oh, no. I mean the police, like after he said that his drugs were missing, like
I don't think he got charged.
Nothing ended up
happening? I
don't
think he got charged because I guess they talked with the production manager. And he was like, I don't care. He's fired. He ain't allowed back, so I don't care what y'all do. But then we get the next one. The next one is the one that he cooked a lot of Colombian food, and he would come in and sell plates at work. And then the production manager was like, that's not allowed. We got food, all these food regulations. And we had one of those convenience stores in the lunchroom that, if you wanted to spend.
You're just talking about like with a
$20
shitload of.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, it's a convenience store. They have the coolers of stuff you can buy and you go up to a checkout thing. And that's what they have.
All we had was like we called it the Wheel of Death. But like it was like literally just like a.
No, they have a whole
machine.
thing, Doritos, Slim Jims. It looks like the whole inside snack part of a convenience store. And then they got hot food spinning and you grab it and you take it to the checkout thing and then you check it out.
Is there a person there or is it?
No, it's just all 500 cameras. Cameras in every single location and it's crazy too because we'd have people steal from there and then
get fired for stealing.
They would give me this whole spiel about them because I did not watch any of the cameras that had nothing to do with that. But if that like someone had stole something, was continually stealing stuff, they'd be like, well, these guys are coming in because obviously we have to fire whoever's stealing from the store. And they would come and sit down with me and be like, yeah, I was the one taking it. And I was just like, what do you think I could do here with that information? Like, they're not even going to talk to me. They're just going to come in tomorrow with fucking HR and everybody and the GM and they're going to fire you. That's all that's going to happen. But he would bring in these plates that we would buy and the production manager was like, yeah, we got all these food regulations. And
you just steal them from the company store, like by not buying from the company store.
No, because I straight up told him, I was like, well, this is fucked. I don't want to spend this money. The guys don't want to spend this money. If he's going to cook and he's like trying to make money, I was like, so what happens if we buy it from across the street and just bring it in? He was like, well, then I guess I can't say nothing about that. And I was like, okay, so guys, what we're going to do is we're going to buy it from across the street. And then you can come in here with your plates because it's not being sold here. So he was a really, really good one. That was the one that was like showing me pictures of his wife.
And then he cornered the guy in the parking lot.
He cornered the guy in the parking lot. I think I told that story on here. And very heavily insinuated that he was going to molest a grown man. And I was just like, yeah, he can't work here anymore. They was like, yeah, we had to let him go. And I'm just like,
You still buy my food?
I assumed. Well, after him showing me the wife stuff, and I was like, nah, because I don't want to like buy his food if he's like nothing in it, because I could have already ate that. And
just extra protein,
right, just extra protein,
whatever,
but,
salt seasoning.
Yeah, that's why they were that salty. So we had him, and then we had a white guy come in, just like a country boy, and he would do so good, man. Every Friday, he would say, "My grandpa's dying." And you could see like he was battling with drugs. He didn't want to do them. He was battling with drugs. And what's crazy is if we didn't have a forklift driver, I was the forklift driver. If we didn't have a bander, I was banding. If we didn't have a Saturn operator, I was the Saturn operator. I was whoever didn't come in. And if multiple people didn't come in, I was doing multiple jobs.
Yeah.
So it was just real rough too, man. And he'd be like, "Well, you can understand." And like the first time, I'm just like, "Yeah, I can understand." Second time's like, "Yeah, I can understand." And then the third Friday in a row, I'm just like, "You got points, bro. They're gonna eventually not be cool with that." And then he would not come in for like 2 days at a time, 3 days at a time. I'm like, "Listen, bud, there's nothing I can tell these guys. It doesn't matter how good you are if you ain't here to do the good job."
Yep.
I understand this is rough, but you got to figure out what you want in life. So they fired him for points, but then they brought him back a couple months later. And obviously, whatever he was going through progressed more, because then he'd just be like, "I ain't coming in for a week." He only lasted like 2 weeks after that. Real good at what he did, but
yeah, we had this one forklift, like, because we had squeeze lifts when I was at the factory, because we were picking up like gigantic rolls of fabric and stuff like that. But one of the forklift operators there, he smoked a lot of fucking weed, a ton of fucking weed. But like he looked like Willie Nelson, like legit looked like Willie Nelson. Could have like, you know how they have Elvis Presley like lookalike things. He, in his normal average everyday clothes, he could win a Willie Nelson contest all day long. And it was funny because he I don't know how he did it, but he ended up he stabbed this 250-gallon tote of chemicals, and not knowingly, like he picked something up off the trailer, brought it into the factory, but when he did that, he poked the thing. And so then when the tractor trailer pulled out of the parking lot and like it was going around to like another spot, it was just leaking chemicals like all over the road. So there was like hazmat and like all the shit, like just fucking crazy fire trucks and everybody trying to clean up all these chemicals. And somehow still had his job. Like, I don't know how the fuck, like they had to have piss tested him because like obviously there was an accident. There was a bunch of like police and things like that. So no matter how well you want to cover this, I don't know how he did it. Cause like, I mean, homie would literally just smoke all fucking day at work, like after work, before work, all like just stoned all the time, and just, nope, did not get fired.
So when I was like 18, 19, it was, I believe it is my second job. My first job ever was East Coast Wings. So this is my second job I have ever worked. And it was at like this little factory place.
Can I ask a question about East Coast Wings before we get into this?
Yeah.
So whenever you order wings there, the heat level is never the same. So if you order Magma wings this week,
so what they mix them in is never cleaned out. So like say someone like got suicide wings, wherever it is, like it's fried, they like do it up right there and then they'll like send them out. So sometimes like they'll wipe it out, they'll clean it out, but some they just don't.
So you could get the heat from, because like, I mean, sometimes you'll order like extra hot or something like that and it comes out damn near mild. And then sometimes you'll get extra hot and it's magma or fucking suicide.
The way it looked back there, so they had the line, which I would never really, because I was the busboy, I would never really go to where they were cooking in the line, but they would have like, you'd have the grills and everything on the back, you had the fryers and everything in the front, and then he would send it next to him, and then he has literally these big vats of sauce.
Yeah.
And nothing is labeled, and I'm just like, well, what did they do back here? How do they do all that stuff?
Yeah, because there's like 50 different flavors, and then like each one of those you can get in 10 different heat levels. Because
none of us really cared about the job. We all just cared about hitting on women.
Yeah, no, there's some good looking waitresses there.
Yeah, which was the worst place because I was with my girlfriend there, and I just got into so many situations too. My friend that got me the job there was like, well, there's a dealer that this is talking about some of Mike's crimes now, but there's a dealer there that is stepping on my territory. And I don't know why in my 18, 19-year-old white mind was just like, the audacity, you know? I'm like,
that's your turf.
That's your territory, bud. Yeah. And he's like, so we need to rob him. And I was like, complete sense. Absolutely. Yeah. Who would suspect us who actually work here? That cops would never suspect that. So he gets off one day and we go to do it, and it's not a, I don't think it was a crime. I don't think anybody cared because they just saw people in the woods and we took off running. Like one of the girls did. One of the girls from the side saw us and they were like, oh God, there's like people in the woods right there. He was almost throwing the shit away because we had it planned that the manager or whoever was working there was going to tell him to throw away some trash. And that's where we're just going to beat him up, rob him a little bit. Yeah. And just one of the girls standing out there was like, there's people in the woods. Oh, there's like 4 people in the woods. And I was like, God damn, how well can she see? Like, I'm sitting there blind. I need glasses.
Fucking Bugs Bunny with your carrot eating ass.
Yeah, fucking bitch. This is a Tuesday night. Like, you telling me we got bitches with good eyesight on Tuesday nights?
Where was the East Coast? Oh, Thomasville?
No, North Main Street, High Point.
High Point, okay.
Yeah. We was in there. We was doing all sorts of gang activities with white people too. It was so funny to just be we're gonna get off work and then we're gonna go break into this drug dealer's house and we're gonna beat them up. And I was just like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're doing on a Friday night.
Yeah, and then after that we could get into something else if you want to. Like, I mean, but yeah, we're good.
The funniest part about that too is my brother was like, because he gave my friend the information on him, and he was just like, that's the funniest one we did was I don't know how familiar you are with High Point.
I mean, passingly.
Like, okay, so up on, I want to say where you're going towards Archdale and you got all the motels and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we are right here at the one where if you go right down the road, the police department's there. Mm-hmm. And we're like, man, we got to do this quick. We got to be efficient like some bank robbers, like people we are not.
Roll out the blueprints. Be like, all right, we're going to go here, and then this is you.
So
and
this involved the Jonathan guy that I had spoke about because we were going to, I don't know why we were going to beat him up, but this is after the time where, my brother wasn't friends with him anymore. So he was an enemy, and he had done something that we were going to beat him up. It involved the friend that is.
You realize that we have police that listen to this, and they're just like putting all this stuff together.
All this stuff, like we didn't kill anybody. Everything is the statute of limitations is well up on this shit. So yeah, look into it. But we kicked the door down. I kicked the door down, and I felt cool as.
I bet you fucking
fuck.
did.
I felt cool as.
Did you do like a forward kick?
I stood like right there,
kick.
And I fell on my back too. Yeah. But like if I fell on my back and it didn't like budge at all, I'd have been like,
But
I
you knocked
corny.
it.
But we do it, man. And this is where I get like fucked up, and I'm like, I'm not fit for a life of crime. So we do that. It's the wrong room, anyways. He's like 2 doors down. Okay,
at a motel,
right? Yeah,
you just knocked down the wrong door.
He has a gun. We know he has a gun, so we wanted to do it fast before he had time to get to the gun. Because if he's in there fucking or something like that, we know we got. Guns are not magical automatically. If someone were to break in somewhere or attack you and like if you have a gun on your hip and someone were to attack you with a knife in public, that gun's probably not going to be able to get used. Yeah. People think a gun's just like an automatic win. If people are able to get into, especially a motel where there's no room, if it's a house and you're upstairs, of course you're gonna have time to get your gun, protect your family, yada yada yada.
But when your door is right,
that's what we were like. We were gonna be able to do that. So we kicked that door in. He's alerted. He's heard. We know like now he's had time to get the gun. But as we're walking away from this guy who has his lady of the night there, old man.
Oh, just random.
Yep, just random motel has his lady of the night there. As we're running by, this just little Pakistan man comes out, and he's just like, look at the door. And I'm just like,
I'm sorry.
I like stop for a second. I'm just like, well, listen, bud, if I didn't have to run right now, I'm sorry. Just took off running.
I'd fix it.
Bro, so Scott, my sister's boyfriend, he had the worst fucking time with, if he got caught, he would stop. Like say a car he would stop and then talk to the person and then go back to the scene of the crime to try to fix whatever happened. Would never snitch on anybody. He's like, yeah, I don't know any of those guys. Those were guys I just met up, and they were like, hey, you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. And eventually the cops found out he was too stupid to ever. They were like, what if we gave you life in prison? He's just like, that's what I'd do for the gang of white people that we had. I don't understand. He was like,
it's a solid dude.
He is a solid guy. But like I said, it was a bunch of people doing crime that didn't really have it in them.
Yeah.
So one time we walked by this church, and the church, look, we were kids, I think I was around 17, 18 when this happens, but we walk by the sign and it's like, God says something, 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 whatever. So we go up to the sign, and we're kids, so we do this all the time. like I said, 17, 18, you're not an adult, but I changed the sign to say, God said, touch my wiener. That's it. It says, God says, touch my wiener. It's the one beside Nick's Sub Shop on Green Street in High Point, East Green Drive in High Point. But I changed it to say, God says, touch my wiener. All right. And I'm like, haha, that's funny. Like, all of a sudden we hear a sign say, Daryl, get out here. A lady from across the street sees us out there doing it. She's like, oh my God, that sign says, God says, touch my wiener. So we all take off running. This lady gets in her car and drives up, and Scott just stops. And I'm like, bro,
Run.
There's terrain. We're going into the woods. Like, you don't have to walk parallel with the road. But he's just like sitting there, and I see him turn back. And we run through like the woods. We live on UR Road. We run through the woods. We're going through the woods up to where we live at. And he's not there. Eventually he walks in. He's like, yeah, the cops were called. But we didn't vandalize nothing. We literally did nothing except for change the words on the sign. So the cops stood there while Scott changed back the God said, touch my wiener sign to whatever the preacher wanted to say. Conveniently enough, while Scott and the cops are talking before they get the sign changed, the preacher driving his van full of kids pulls up and is just ready for church. And they see what the guy's done. And the preacher, he was like, and then I felt doubly bad because the preacher was like, he's like, you want some, we got some drinks inside. I'm going to bring you some drinks out here while you do this. And he was just like being like a godly guy, you know what I'm saying? Like a real godly guy. I was just like, this is why we don't, mess with anybody. I wouldn't, if you had a business, I wouldn't change the signs of your business. And I wouldn't even think about doing something like that.
Teaching him a lesson.
He was like, if any time, you want to learn or get to know God, then you just come down here, bud. And he was like, I felt so fucking bad.
Yeah.
So then he was like, he's fucking tired because walking to this, it's like only like 2 miles away, but it's summertime too, so it's hot as shit. And he was like, he asked the cop, he was like, can you give me a ride back? And the cop's like, fuck no. Like, nah, you can fucking walk, you fucking criminal. Like, that guy, that preacher might love you, but I don't.
I can't remember there was a little used car dealership in my town, and I lived about a half mile outside of town. And so we walked up one night, and like I said, my town was tiny. And so there was never cars driving by. So we did the same thing. I can't remember what the fuck we wrote on the sign though, but it was like the full on like arrow sign. So there was plenty of words that we could make out of it. It was just something stupid though. But the funniest time though for us, I think it was me and my buddy Josh. We were maybe 15, 16. He's like a year older than me. And his mom was off with like a boyfriend or something for the night, and so I stayed over there, and we were just left to our own devices. And so we were touring through town all night, stayed up literally all night, and they were doing repairs on the school. Actually, I think they were building an addition onto the school, and so they had a ladder just literally stuck up against the school that you could just walk up and get into the school. And so like, this is a K through 12 school. So I'd been going there since I was in preschool. And, by this time I'm in, ninth grade or something like that.
Right.
And we just end up spending a long time in the school all night because there's no like security alarms, motion sensors. Like, you think that obviously all that stuff's going to happen. No, none of it. Like, I think if we would have opened a door to leave, probably would have gotten the alarms to go off. But I mean, we were racing down the hallway with the rolly chairs and just acting a fool. And the last thing that we did was we climbed up onto the roof, and then we peed off the roof onto the new library like skylight that they had put up there. And so we were just up there peeing off the roof, and then I think a car pulled up the one road, and we're like, oh shit, like they might have seen us. So we got down, and we were hanging out in the downtown area at like 7:30 in the morning. No 15, 16-year-old kid's going to be up at 7:30 in the morning riding their bikes through town.
Doing good things, right, yeah.
At all. Like, I mean, be in existence at all, other than they stayed up all night, like being hooligans. And so as it happens, a police car comes up, and he's like, hey, there's 2 kids that were up on top of the school, like blah, blah, blah. And I don't think he said that like they were urinating or anything, but he's like, hey, they were up on top of the school. And then, so he's sitting there talking to me, and at this moment, don't know why, but my mom literally drives by. Like, right there, we're talking to the cops, telling the cops we didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. And like, he basically describes us, like just describes us to a T. And he's like, well, if you guys hear anything, like, let me know. And then my mom pulls up, and she's like, why were you guys talking to the cops? And we're like, I don't know. They said like some kids were doing something, blah, blah, blah. And so like, me being 15, I'm like, oh, totally got away scot-free. I'm an idiot because literally the cop knew that it was us. My mom knew that it was us. I was the only one that actually believed, like, yep, got away with that one. We're so smooth. We're smooth criminals. Like, but that was me at like 15, 16 years old all the time, just doing absolutely benign crimes, but still.
Like we would do crimes. But what's so funny too is like you hear stories about like kids throwing rocks off of overpasses.
Oh no.
And we just
so
be like,
terrible.
that could kill somebody.
Yes.
We're not fucking moron. We're not like serial killers here.
Yes.
Like so I remember I told you the story about the wingman and the guys that were drunk driving. So one of the guys there, I told you I had knew, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go do that. And I was like, it's like a big deal that had just happened and killed, some lady in North Carolina. And he was like, yeah, that's why we're going to go do it. And I was just like, yo, is it like an edge thing? Are you trying to be edgy or?
How about you guys drive under the underpass and then we'll throw the rock off?
Right, yeah. Like, how about we just aim it at you guys? The funniest thing too is before we were like of age to really do get in trouble, bro. We would take pellet guns. We all like my brother. He's one of the type of guys who's my middle brother. I told you he's a sweetheart, but he's always had like a fascination with samurai swords. You can imagine the guy, the dragon button up. He was always that guy, but he always had like pellet guns and stuff like that. And I'm telling you what, though, if we would be in the hood of High Point shooting people with guns, with pellet guns, and just running away, just up in the projects, just like pack, pack, pack. And like at first you see, hey man, there's a bee stinging me. Like you just like do like that. And then they'd be like, oh no, I see one of those. And then get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
We go to the apartment. Fuck. Now, this one, I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on. So
no, don't get yourself arrested because I can't run this by myself.
I don't give a fuck. I love, because we're just, like, it's not like we want to, we had ops, of course. We had people that didn't like us and stuff. And, this was during night time. And I had to portray this character, even if I didn't want to. A lot of times I could just, like, talk everybody out of the crazy stuff, like the going to war with the fake folk. The folk gang made of all white people, because that that's allowed in gangs. But we go up to the cookout on South Main Street, and behind there's the apartment complexes. So we are at my friend's house, and he's dating this girl, and this girl obviously knows that she has gotten with the wrong guy. Like, she is towards the end of I'm done with all this, you will never get a job, all you do is drugs, I'm sitting here working, my child's here, I'm so tired, oh my God, why are your friends here today? So we're there. I could tell she is very, very upset and does not want us to be around. And this is really close to when their relationship was over. But he goes into the room and he hands me this shotgun. I am not a person that plays with guns often. So I don't like touching guns. It's not been a thing of mine. I've not been very gun oriented. So he hands it to me and I'm just like, oh, cool, a shotgun. And I go, if a gun does that, by the way, don't then pull the trigger. Even if someone told you it was empty, it's not empty.
No,
it's not empty, because I proceed to blow a hole in the roof of that apartment complex.
Was there
statute of limitations? Yes, there's people living above.
Holy fuck nugget, dude.
I'm pretty sure nobody got hurt. I'm almost 100% sure nobody got hurt. But we then take off running after I think an accidental gunshot, like if we're all then chill about it, the cops just come looking around. I don't know if it would have actually went into the other side, because it was the bird shot, not buckshot.
Yeah.
But it definitely left a hole in the roof above my head. So we all take off running like we just murdered somebody inside of which caused a big fucking scene, which the bomb threat that my brother did, when that caused that locked down the whole fucking Walmart. There were so many cops too. I'm surprised when they came to school to get me, it wasn't just two detectives like, we know it was you. I guess because it wasn't a bomb. And they thought it was just somebody fucking off. But yeah, that was a time I learned if the shotgun makes the sound, something just got chambered. Because, my friend, it sucks not being able to say their names anymore, especially one, because he's a very high-ranking member of a racist organization right now. But he's sitting there telling me, he's like, yeah, people are like, how are you friends with that guy? Because he showed no signs of that. Yeah. Like, he would listen to Tupac and stuff and rap, and it never said anything that. He was more of a anti-government guy then.
Yeah.
Somehow he got with some more anti-government friends, and they were like, you know what? What if it ain't the government? What if it's black people? And then he just like stared around to see if everybody agreed with him. And then apparently my friend was just like, yeah, it makes sense. I don't know what happened to him. He was of like a real cool dude to an extent when he was hanging out with me. But he told me then, he was like, yeah, if you hear that something chambering, and then because he had a real big fascination with guns, had a bunch of guns.
Yeah. See, I used to have parties every single weekend from Friday till Sunday. It was like nonstop drinking at my house in my like early 20s, 21, 22. And my buddy Josh he's like, I mean, very well versed with guns. And so another one of our friends there basically pulled out his gun and then gave it to Josh to look at. And so my buddy's like looking at it and he's like, did you just hand me a fucking loaded weapon? And he's like, oh yeah, but there's not anything in the chamber. And he's like, no, there is one in the fucking chamber, you moron. And he's like, this is a fucking party. And you didn't know that I know what I'm doing with fucking guns. And you just handed me a loaded weapon with one in the chamber that like anybody could have done anything with. You're a fucking moron. Put this away and like never bring this back. And luckily, like I didn't have to say that to the guy, but I'm just like, why would you bring a fucking loaded gun to a party and then just hand it off to some random, like, I mean, obviously we all know each other, but still, like, you don't know what that person knows about guns, and you just gave them something that on accident, if they grabbed it wrong, they could have just fucking shot somebody. Why the fuck would you do that? And so, like, that was the type of idiots that would go to my parties. Like, is like, why bring a loaded gun to a night of drinking?
That's what I like having, because, so my wife was working at this place. My stepdad's sister was working there. My wife got her a job. Well, she got with this guy who was abusive. And they had said, because we were trying to get her to like break up with him. She eventually did. So he comes to my wife's job and kicks her car because he's like, she talked her into breaking up with her.
Kicks your wife's car?
Yeah, kicks my wife's car. So I'm like, I'm going to beat the fucking dog shit out of this guy. And he was like, the funniest thing too is when he talks to the police, he's like, he gets a restraining order out on me. And I'm like, how's that possible? You could just do that with anybody. Did? Yeah.
That's crazy.
So now I'm the only one he did it on, because
which is crazy.
If I go beat his ass now, it's a felony and I go to fucking prison. And I'm just like, I mean, cool. It's cool if you've heard like stories of a guy that beat up. I wasn't like that at first. Like when he was telling me, I was like, I was being level headed. You need to get away from this guy. The stuff she would say, like he would like scratch her and stuff like that. He wasn't like fucking unloading on her, just doing weird fucking emo kid shit. And he was a weirdo. And I'm just more along like, you got to get away from him. And well, when he kicks her car, now he knows. Like now I'm just like, I'm just gonna go beat his ass. Like because I was very calm when I explained to Amy, like I was just like, I'm just gonna go down there, I'm gonna talk to him, probably beat him up a little bit. And she was like, that's the scariest form of Michael, not like that.
Just beat him up a little bit.
I'm just gonna beat him up a little bit. But he goes and talks to the cops and fucking.
That's crazy that they gave him a restraining order, because like honestly, every woman that I've seen that is like, hey, I need protection from this guy because he's crazy, and they're like, well, he didn't really threaten you. Like it's not really a threat. He said you're gonna be like 6 feet under the ground, but that doesn't mean he's gonna kill you. Like
imagine
it's like
somebody destroying like or threatening your wife, and then the cops are like, yeah, if you go after this guy, it's a felony, and we'll put you under the prison. I'm just like,
for a guy,
why do you feel like, this happy telling me this shit? Like he fucking,
for a guy that's technically abusing another woman, because like he's kicking my wife's car, which is a woman, and like he's threatening her, but me doing anything to him is a problem. Like, why didn't you protect her? Like, can she press charges against this?
So the court case was really easy though, because he kept calling up to and they just recorded everything. Mm-hmm. So because Amy took him to court, and then his parents had to pay for everything, which is funny because you just get it immediately, and then he has to pay the court just so that he couldn't be like, not ever pay for it. So, they fixed the car door and everything like that. Where was I going on the shit stain? Or was it just about the...
Yeah, we were talking about like all the idiots, or the one idiot that came to my party that
with a loaded gun. At one point, like he was like, real, like if this kid was like, I'm gonna shoot up a school, he'd probably do something like that. So I go down, no, because he kicks the door, And I know he lives with his dad, and I don't know what I'm going into. So I go down to my brother's house to get a gun, and Robbie's there, and I'm just like, hey, I just walk through the door, and I'm like, hey, this guy kicked Amy's car door, and I need a gun. And bro just like starts like pulling out.
Which one you need?
Like, he pulls out like an assault rifle. He's like, do you feel like you're gonna be full comfortable? So let me just. He takes out the magazine. He's like, so when you put it back in here, you're gonna fucking. And this is how you like dechamber it. And honestly, if something happens, I would prefer you say you stole it from me. Okay, like if you really got. But Robbie was just down. He's
this
just
is
like,
your brother?
Yeah, middle brother. Like it's me. Like he's just like, yeah, if you gotta, you gotta do whatever you gotta. He's like, a shotgun's real simple to work, and he's like bringing it in there, and he's like showing me everything how to do it. And eventually, like through the time, I'm just like,
maybe I don't need a gun.
yeah, maybe I'm just going to be an adult and be there for my kids. Just be with my kids. Now, God, I was so trashy when me and Amy got together. Like I said, when she got pregnant, she didn't know she was getting pregnant by a drug addict. But I take her to this party one night, and this guy comes down. I had taken my cousin to a party, and they were sitting there, and my cousin's just like a good kid. Doesn't do anything bad. It's just like there to say hey to everybody, maybe drink a couple beers, which he's going to drink it and be like, good. And I'm like, you don't have to pretend to do that. Also, they have liquor. You could just do the shot, be like, ew, and then you don't have to pretend to like beer. But there's these two guys, and they're just like trying to, like, I know them, and one of them is really just trying to convince my cousin, who does nothing, that let's go inject heroin into our feet. So, he comes up to me. I'm in a different room talking to a girl, and he's like, hey, man, I just want to go. I'm like, why do you want to go? And he's just like, I just want to go. He's like, not telling me about it. So we leave, and I'm just kind of like, And so I find out that, he was trying to convince him to inject heroin to his feet. So then, this is like a year later, and me and Amy are at a party, and he shows up. And I walk up to Amy, and I had been drinking and doing I think I was doing Molly. Mm-hmm. And when you're in like the trashy kind of lifestyle where what you think you're doing is cool, you think you're the hero. Like you think that everything you do is just cool and it's okay. So I walk up to Amy and I'm like, I'm gonna go break that guy's nose because of what he said. And in my brain, it was like, Amy went, no, you won't. Like, you ain't gonna do it. No, you won't. So I went up to him and I punched him in the face and like his nose. So my friend Kevin, God rest his soul, he was the one that we were going to do skits with. Mm-hmm. We lost him to depression. But as soon as I do that, he stands up with the broken nose, and Kevin just, like a sniper, right to the broken nose with a beer can and just puts him back down. And then because, everybody's my friend there's like 30 people that's going to jump this guy. This guy does not, honestly, he doesn't know that anybody's mad at him. Yeah. All he knows is that a guy he thought was his friend just broke his nose. Another guy he thought was his friend just beamed him in the nose with the beer can, and now all these people are going to jump. So he's like terrified at all that stuff. So I get in the car because, the homeowners, they're like, we're going to call the cops and shit like that. And I'm like driving down the road, and I was like, I told you I'd do it. She's like, yeah, you fucking moron. And I'm like, wait. You were like all cute.
You challenged me.
You was like, yeah, you challenged me. You was like, I was like, I said, you better not. I was like, you fucking mortified me there. And I was like, oh, well, I got to be a badass, babe. That's bro. It's so corny when you look back at it, man. But I was like the stupidest. Every single cop too, especially in Archdale, because they had a more refined like police force where High Point, they're dealing with like crimes and stuff like that. Archdale could be like, what are you doing out at fucking 2:30 at night, Mike? Like, and I went to school too, where the SROs, it's a smaller police force, so they definitely knew like what Mike was doing and stuff. And it's just, you look back at the corny, trashy shit that you did, and you think the whole time
you're the coolest motherfucker on the planet.
You're the coolest guy. And when I got that moniker Night Night, I'm able to say now like it's corny and stuff like that. But back then too, I did, like, a part of me wanted to live up to that because I went through this whole thing of, I'm in school. When I first started, middle school and all that stuff, I was this kid who was picked on, and now I'm like a legend, and I'm like, this is this is everything
People
that I
respect me.
This is everything I fucking wanted, and then I kept going to jail. The bomb threat thing happened. I'd like to say like then that's when it was over, but it wasn't. Like I did nothing for the bomb threat thing. Then I had like some trespassing charges from where I tried to fight somebody on school property. I am already kicked out of school.
Yeah.
And this guy's talking shit. And I was like, but I will roll up to school and still beat you up. I had just been expelled like a week prior. And I roll up to school to be, and the saddest part is I told y'all about that one really good teacher. He works there, does the little intervention stuff. And just the sheer disappointment on his face too. That's like the first encounter I had. You know how a parent, like someone would be like, yeah, I had a good dad. He never whooped me. He just looked at me and was like, I'm disappointed. Like that, disappointing him like that. I was just like, man, what am I doing? And then finally I got with Amy and started to, what's a good word for it? Because a guy will get with a woman, things will get serious. They'll like have a kid or something like that, and be like, they just stop being friends with everybody. And it wasn't like I stopped being friends. It was just like, I can't hang out with you because
you started to mature. Like,
right,
I mean,
yeah, I'm
you
gonna
really
do drugs, or I can't hang out with you because I just hung out with y'all thinking like we're gonna, relive glory days. And then I found out glory days was doing spice, and y'all acting like fucking, because now
and you guys still do that.
Yeah, they're doing duster and shit like that. I never did that. I'm not a moron, but they're like doing duster and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, I have a newborn baby and I got to go to work tomorrow. So you guys have fun because it looks fun. Y'all are like passing out and stuff. I just watched Josh here smack his head on a coffee table going, no. Sounds fun.
Yeah,
all right.
Looks like a blast, guys.
And then I eventually stopped hanging out with people, which became like a big problem with the guy who, moved to Florida. He was like, yeah, you was like, what are you, an adult now? I was like, yeah, you got two kids.
Yeah, got kids.
You got two kids, so you should probably, straighten up your life too. And he was like, nah, I'm going to move to Florida away from my kids and join a
gang.
And he's like high ranking in there too. And it's only eventually they find this. And then we got a war against, they're like 200 strong though. That's a little bit worrying.
Well, see, that's the crazy thing, though, is, like, I mean, I've been through all that stuff. In my youth, I did tons of partying, and, like, I mean, I did do duster, and I did all kinds of random things. Nothing hard. I didn't do pills or, cocaine or anything.
You look like one of the guys who did duster because your friends did. And
well,
it's
all
like
around,
a fun, dumb thing to do.
Well, but then, like, I would... If I knew that the duster was clean, like I would still probably do a little bit, but like I'm not the type of person, like there were friends of mine that like, and I use that term loosely, but they would literally walk around with a can and just go to town until they just like fucking faced it into the ground. I'm like, too much.
Yeah, a little bit.
Too much. Like, and like after the first like round of it, it's like, whoa, that was crazy. Let me move on to just like hanging out for the rest of the night. Like this isn't something I want to like stay in duster world for. Like, I mean, it was like crazy and it was like wah, 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 like fucking being in a video game, which was cool for a minute, but like it's not like you come back home. Like you just come back home and you don't go back
right
again and again and again and again and again. Like it's not that fun. Like it's like doing, being drunk. Being drunk is fun to like find the line to like stay on the edge of it. It's not fun to just fall off the edge and go blackout. Like that's not the fun part of drinking, even though that's where you go a lot in your like, young or late teens, early 20s. That's where you live, is like, how far can I take this before I just fucking black out and don't remember anything for the rest of the night? But that was the crazy thing, is like all the chaos that you go through in that time of life, and then some people just stay there.
Yeah, they just stay there.
Like I know tons of people that like they still frequent the bar. Like if there's a $1 beer night, they're out there, and it's like, no, that's for 21, 22-year-olds. Like you don't need to go out there for discount beer. For one thing, it's already expensive beer. I mean, I guess if you're getting a $1 beer now, it's probably a pretty good deal, but like, just get a 12-pack and go hang out with your friends, and maybe don't drink the whole 12-pack.
The funniest thing too is, because I told you about my stepdad's sister's boyfriend, and there were so many people, like especially Amy, would encounter like in her just like group of socializing with people that would have just like this shit stained boyfriend, and they'll be like, well, they can change because we've seen Michael do it. And she was just like, Michael is like a fucking anomaly. That's Michael's the thing that like rarely fucking happens. And that just was, because I like to, when I word these things, I like to tell people, like, when my oldest daughter came along, I was just this fucking tip top. I immediately I kept, having problems with heavy drugs and stuff like that. And I would leave Amy constantly. I'd be like, I'm not doing this anymore. And look, I'm going to tell y'all just like this is like a real fucking, this is the point where like I knew I really did want to change, and that the people around me weren't the people that I needed to hang around with. Because I got my daughter's on the way, and Amy's like, I'm not going to be with like a drug addict. And I'm like, these are my friends, and you're trying to separate me from my friends, and you're trying to make it where I turn my back on everybody. I'm not doing that for no bitch, because Michael don't do that for no bitch and all this shit. So I had done some.
Is that one of the times that she popped you?
Huh?
Is that one of the times she like?
No, all
you?
those have been like funny times that I was just like seeing how far I could just like upset her to get her angry. So I had just got back from my dad's house, and he had gave me some like Klonopins or something like that. So I had took some of those, and I had been taking Roxy's like all day, and I was taking some of those, and I go to our friend Matt's house, and Matt has some Vicodin that he's just never going to take. And he's like, yeah, I'm never going to take these, which is crazy because he does Duster and like and I'm like, Duster's like way worse than
just do the,
in my brain. Like, I'm just like, Duster's way worse than pain pills, bro. Like, I don't know on what planet. So I'm sitting there.
Neither are good. Kids, if you're listening, neither are good.
Neither are good. Yes. So I see how many's in the bottle, and there's like, 10, 15 in the bottle. And I'm just like, fuck it. I'm like, pour them all out. And I think about all the drugs that I've been doing all day. And I was like, Mike, if you do this.
Can these all cross with each other?
Right. I'm like, if you do this, you're probably going to die. And at that point, like, I was really just like, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I feel like, because I see people now, like, starting to do good stuff. Like, just not hanging out with Amy. I see actual adults, like, doing actual adult things. And I see just, I have this baby on the way, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a good dad, and I'm going to fuck this baby up. And so
this is before she's born at all,
right? This is before she's born, and this is kind of what like solidified me never hanging out with my friends again. Because at that point, I'm like, well, we could die taking this. I'm just like, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm like, fuck it. Either we're gonna get real fucked up, and our problems are gonna go away, or we're just gonna fucking die. Either way, so I take all of it. About an hour later, I'm fucking maybe 30, 45 minutes later, I'm throwing the fuck up. I'm like, yep, this is it. So. Like, everybody's like, Mike, you don't look good. And I was like, I feel good. I don't feel good. I'm not good. So I go into Matt's room, and I'm laying there, and they come in there, and they're like, you think he's like, I could fucking hear people and shit. Yeah. Like, you think he's done? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, we got too much stuff here. Like, they just went back into the other room and just started partying. And next day I wake up, thank God. I was like, fuck. That
nobody gave a shit enough to.
I go in there, everybody's like fucking passed out and shit like that. I still I have to throw up all over my shirt, take off the shirt, steal my friend Josh's shirt, and then never hung out with those guys again. All of them. I mean, we've been hanging out for 4 or 5 years now, just every single fucking day. And from that day forward, I was just like, this is not, it's not the people I hang out with. And even then still, like, I didn't really get on my shit until my second son was, I found out that, she was, because I was like, at this point, you got one kid, and it's just like, we got one kid, and, I work my little half-ass jobs when I'm working, and Amy's always working because she's a responsible adult. I'm like, this is just okay. And then a second kid's coming, and you're like, fuck, we live with her parents, and I am doing nothing. And either these kids are going to grow up with either a fuck shit dad, or fuck shit dad's just going to keep going back to his old ways until he dies, and they don't have a dad or something like that. And then they're going to, in my brain, even though I know if I were to have died back then, that my kid, like my oldest daughter, would still have lived a good life because of the mom she has. Like, the mom she has, she would have, found her way in life and shit like that. And I was like, fuck, they're going to do that. And it was literally at that moment where I was like, all right, so tomorrow I'm going to go apply. The moment I found out that she was pregnant with our second child, I went out and I looked around, and I got that job at the box shop, and they were like, you got any experience operating a machine? I was like, sure.
I don't know how you did this.
Fuck yeah.
We literally went full circle back to.
But I mean, that's the craziness of it, because a lot of guys out there, of course, if you got good friends and shit, like I don't know if there are women out there that's just like, no, don't go hang out with him and just spend all your time at home. There could be absolutely women like that.
I've dated women like that. Like, I mean, there's good and bad to both sides of that. But I mean, I think the big thing that you kind of summed up in this story is your wife didn't care so much about the people. It was about you. Yeah. It was about you.
She'd be like, you can go play card games. Yeah. And I'd be like, she don't give me no shit about playing card game, but I say I want to go hang out with Josh or Matt or Kevin or any of these guys.
Well, and it's not even them. It's what you do when you're like, it's who you become around those people.
She said you change around them. Yeah. She's like, as soon as you get around any of those people, and not my middle brother, my oldest brother too, that I would change around them. And what's so sad too is I see my oldest brother, he's still fighting against all this shit that, the fucking thing that I went through. He got a bunch of kids, and I was the one who introduced him to that life. And it sounds weird, him being my older brother, but when I came down, they were already kicked out. When I got kicked out at like 16, I was already partying and shit like that. They were working, he had a girlfriend, he was taking care of, their kid. And I come down and I'm just like, you could just, I don't know if you guys know this, but you could just party a lot and just make friends with like people. And I would go out in the neighborhood and like make friends with people and shit. And then, Robbie finds out that I'm doing coke. And the day he found that out, he runs into the house and he's like yelling. Robbie's always wanted the best for me. He's not really been big into drugs, but he's like yelling at Justin. He's like, he's out there he's like, Mikey's a grown ass man. I'm like 16, 17. But I'm a grown ass man. He's like, he's a grown ass man. He can do what he wants, And then he'd start hanging out with me. And he'd be like, oh, this party and stuff. I like it. Well, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm doing pain pills. And he was like, I don't know about doing this. I'm like, do them. Don't be a pussy. And then he does them. And then, I see him still. And that's what that's what gets me about it, man. The shit eats me up inside and makes me thank God every day that that Amy just walked into my life.
Yeah. I mean, that is the biggest differentiator of where you could have ended up and where you did end up. Because, I mean, had you, like, even if Amy walked into your life, if you guys didn't, have a whoopsie, like.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. If we did, if she did not get pregnant and.
You guys wouldn't be together.
Right.
You'd be probably dead.
That's the craziest thing, though, is like, because guys will just, a lot of guys, I understand they get, spurned by relationships, scorned by relationships and stuff like that. But there are legit just good women out there who want the best for you, don't really care about the fucking drama and shit like that. Like I could never, I'd be like, I can go play cards. What? But if I go hang out with my friends, it's such a big problem.
Yeah.
And she's like, one day I think I'm going to be able to talk to you and like you're going to be able to understand what I'm saying.
You'll get that. Like I don't actually give a shit that you're away. Like, yes, be here, be with the family, spend time. You can go be you too. Just don't go be you where you're doing fucking drugs and being a shit human and like you wouldn't be proud of yourself in the morning. So like don't do that shit. That's pretty much all I'm asking is don't be that Mike. Be normal Mike that likes, nerdy card games and likes to play video games and like hang out and tell jokes with his friends and then come back home to our kids and not end up in jail and that type of Mike.
The shit that she had to endure too, because I don't know if she saw like there in no way, shape, or form can you guess where someone's going to go, especially if they start off at the point. Like me, I'm just like a rebound. She just got out of a 9-year relationship. I'm just like a rebound guy, so she could, get back on her feet and start living life. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking uptown girl shit. Whoopsie, you got pregnant with that guy. And then just her friends, families and stuff like that. And everybody's just like, are you okay? Like being with, and she's just like, defending me. And she's like, I don't fucking know. When I talk to him, there's something.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not just like, there's something there that there's someone that I feel like is behind this curtain of just dumb shit. And then eventually, she had to go through so much stuff to get me to that point. I'm talking about I never really did Xanaxes and stuff. And one night I get Xanaxes and I take a bunch of them. And this is a pregnant woman that knows that she is going to have a child with me. So the Xanaxes, I end up getting angry and she's like laying down or something. And I go in there and I'm like, yeah, because you don't ever fucking cook. She's the only one that cooks. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, you never cook around here. So that's all I remember. And I wake up in a Burger King parking lot with like 2 double Whopper. I'm skinny at this point too. I'm like, God, I put 2 double Whoppers away. 2 double Whopper like wrappers in my chest. And I just like drive home to a woman who's probably like, where the fuck's he been all night? What the fuck is he doing? Like, and then, I'm there and I'm just like, I see how drugs can be bad. That is something too, though. It's like, I wouldn't like instances like that. I would be like, I can see how drugs are probably not good.
See, I had that problem with alcohol because like when I turned 21, the girl that I was dating at the time, I knew enough. I was like, I need to get Gatorade on the way home, like, or on the way there. Like, I need Gatorade because I'm going to be dehydrated, blah, blah. I know the science. Like, I'm going to be fine if I have Gatorade.
Right.
And so I turned 21 on, technically, it was like Sunday at midnight. So Saturday night when it struck midnight, and it was now Sunday morning. That was when my 21st birthday was. And I could have spent that out in Vegas with my parents and my brother and his wife. I could have done that, but no, I was in love, and so I was going to do it here. And so I stayed, and I got drunk. I went out with my boss from the architecture firm because he was the only one that was like of age. He was in his like late 40s, early 50s. And so I get out there, and I just start. I tell my girl that like I need Gatorade. That's what I start the night off with. And then we get there finally. It's midnight, and I'm just like, it's my birthday. And so everybody, the drink of the time was Jaeger bombs. And so it was just Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb, Jaeger bomb for like 2 hours, just fucking as many Jaeger bombs as I could drink. And then I black out. Don't remember shit. Wake up in the morning.
Average Jaeger story.
Wake up in the morning, and my girl was pissed, like just fucking livid with me. And I was like, what happened? Like, I mean, I don't really, like, I was fine, wasn't I? And she's like, well, when we got home, you were throwing up, and you were like, oh God, I'm bleeding. Cause I'm just throwing up red shit into the toilet. And I'm like, oh, I'm dying. I'm bleeding. And cause all of it, Jaeger bombs is just red. So I think that, and then finally she gets me like into bed, and I decided to say, you didn't even remember my Gatorade, did you, bitch? And I was like, I said that? She's like, you don't remember saying that? I was like, not at all. And I was, because that's not me at all.
Right.
Like, it's not me. And then I was like, oh, exactly the point. Like, maybe I don't need to get that shit faced. Like, maybe that's too far gone. Like the fact that I would say that to the woman that I stayed here because I loved her and didn't go out to Vegas and have this big crazy, turn 21 time with my family. I stayed here because I love her, and I decided to make the end cap of the night is to call her a bitch and tell her that she didn't do the thing that she actually did for me because she's thoughtful. And that was me. And so I was like,
what's so funny too? It's just you forget my Gatorade, bitch.
Yeah.
You don't fucking know. That's one reason I have never liked alcohol, because I've seen people turn into people they're not.
You get so
That's
ugly.
the only one I've really seen people turn
Some
into
people
somebody
get really lovey-dovey, and then there's people who cry a lot, and then there's people that are just fucking angry. And like, depending on what I drink, I can be any one of those three.
That is wild. Amy, when she drinks tequila, because we always keep tequila in the house. She drinks like every other weekend or something like that. And I'm either like, she's either going to get really super horny, or I'm going to get punched in the face before she gets horny. Because Mikey's done a lot of dumb stuff, back in the, and I fuck with her too. Like the getting punched in the face. I used to I would hold her down and tickle her neck and stuff like that. And I just mush her and stuff. And she would grab a broom and she would put welts on my legs, on my arms. The whole time I'm laughing at her. I'm like, you were doing no damage to me. She would get so, look, I helped her grow, because I would get, one time she stabbed me with a knife. One of those little, because at first she was just and I fucking stuck my arm out there and she got it. She's like, and I was like, yeah, fucking just playing around and stuff. Last night, what's so funny about last night too is, because you were talking about drinking. I drank last night. I took 2 shots of tequila. Amy was like, do 2 shots of tequila with me. And her mom, they're staying with us right now.
Does she know you're an addict though?
Who?
I know you're not an addict for alcohol, but
that's what her mom goes. She was like, is it okay if Mike has alcohol? She's like, yeah, he's not a fucking crackhead. He's not just gonna be like, I'm gonna ruin my whole fucking life over 2 drinks of alcohol. That's not that's what sucks too, is because I was able to be the type of guy that was just like, I'm going to take 2 weeks off so I can reset because we were taking too much. We're just being wasteful.
Yeah.
And everybody would be like, 2 weeks off? Like, no, I'm going to withdraw
fucking
and
quitter.
Shit. I'm like, if you think you're going to withdraw, quitting's only as bad as you think it is. So I'd take 2 weeks off, a month off, so I could reset my fucking, and I was like, I'm being smart about it. I'm not. One thing is, I would not spend money. I would try to find different avenues, barter, not with dick sucking, but just we get barter shit, yeah, from time to time. But my grandma, she had the tramadol. She's like, I'm not taking these. And I'm like, oh fuck, man, free, I'll take them. And that's what really set that fucking train off. That's the one I wish I'd have never picked up, because that was the hardest one to just be like, I'm not, and also the scariest one after I did it. And then you read studies on it now, and it's just like, oh yeah, 100 times more likely you're probably going to have Alzheimer's and dementia at a young age. I'm just like, fuck, God, why did I quit doing coke, man? Jeez, that was one.
How do you do coke without paying for it?
That wingman. So he was a big time dealer, and the people he knew were big time dealers too. So, you know, they're like cutting it up and shit, and then you got extra, and it's always being around people who are just always doing it too.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting there, I think I've bought coke maybe 3 times in my life, and I've done a good amount of it. And it was just because I would just be like, all right. And I'm not also, here's the best thing too, is there used to be, like, if you're hanging out with cokeheads, it's just being smart, okay? There's this guy, he was really cool in high school. And we're hanging out with this one guy, just a drug dealer. I'm not going to name anybody's names. All these guys, a lot of these guys are living like really good lives.
Thankful that you're not.
A lot of these guys are really like living clean, sober lives now, which is really good. And he's one of the guys too. That's why I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
But he makes this one guy who was like really cool in high school. He has went down this addiction road, and obviously it's not treating him good. And he's like sitting there begging and stuff like that. So he puts like some on a shoe and makes the guy like snort it off his shoe, like really degrading shit. And I'm like, that's the saddest shit that I have ever seen. And I'm like, be smart about it. Okay. Say you're hanging out somewhere. I'm saying I'm hanging out with these guys. The number one thing when people are doing something, like if you're sitting there begging for something, you look, it's like, no, this is my stuff. I want to do it. Okay. Say I go and hang out with some cokeheads or whatever. If I am like, oh, no, I don't do that stuff anymore. Well, now you're sitting there and you're doing it and you're like, fuck, you know, you feel great. You're fucking getting that energy and you're just like, fuck, it sucks you don't do this shit anymore. And it's like, yeah, well, you know, I stopped and then they were like, well, I don't want to fucking do it alone. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to just sit here by myself and fucking won't you do it with me? Just one time. And, you know, we can just fucking clean out this 8-ball together and fucking just. That's how you do it. And every single time, if I was hanging out with somebody, it's just either like I don't do it, or it's just like, oh fuck, you know, Mike's over and shit like that. Like, there's so many ways to do shit, especially with coke, because it is more expensive, but also you're buying it in baggies. It's not like having a finite amount of pills or something like that. Really, once they really cracked down on pills and it was like really harder to get, that's when I just stopped doing them. Because
it got expensive, and
I'm not going to pay $1 per milligram. I'm not going to buy a Roxy 30 for $30. Like, and once something is just kind of like
that just seems wild,
unattainable, I was just like, that's not my drug of choice anymore.
Well, see, that's how I was with weed, because I had easy access to weed as a young guy, and like I really didn't buy weed. I think in my life I've probably bought it maybe 5 to 10 times, and most of those times actually are recently, is buying it legally through the system. But I mean, for the most part, it was, you know, either grow it, have friends. Like, there was no having to like go purchase it. And that was the wild thing though, is as a young guy, people would spend, you know, $100, $200 buying weed, and I'm like, why are you spending so much? And then they'd like blow through it so fucking quick too. I was like, well, if you're gonna spend that kind of money on it, like at least like savor it. But no, it would just be like, my one buddy would buy like really, really good weed, and then he'd roll it up in blunts and then not like smoke it with a group of people. He would just face that thing himself. And I was like, you know, you do that with Reggie too, right? Like,
and there's like a limit too.
Yeah,
like,
you can't get higher. Like, once you get like a certain amount of high, like you're just as high as you can. Like, yes, if you go into like, you know, the more concentrated versions, like getting, you know, wax and glass and all that stuff, yeah, you can get higher. But even still, like when you've got like just bud in a blunt, like a couple puffs and you're as high as you're going to be for the whole.
I fucking enjoyed people going the wax route too, because when you're hanging out, especially with, I don't know what it is about each individual pothead, but if you smoke weed with them, you'll have a different experience. Like, oh, no, this is different. This will be different. I'm like, no, bro, it's all the same. I don't like smoking weed. It's just, it's something I've never enjoyed doing. I've always enjoyed doing stuff to where if I have to be like alert or something, I could be like in game.
Yeah.
I can be in the moment. You can't like just snap out of being super fucking high, snap out of being super fucking drunk. You can't do it. I like to be alert. But once they had shifted towards wax, you know, burning faster and it's more expensive and stuff, people were just kind of like
not sharing it with you.
Not sharing as much. And I'm just like, finally I can just exist. And then also too, if someone's smoking wax and they're like, you want to try this? And you're like, no, then they're more understandable too. Cause it's like, I'm doing all this different kind of stuff. And my friend was making it with like
fucked.
butane and shit. Like he was extracting his own, making his own. And he would buy large amounts of weed and get a little bit of wax. And then he was like, he would always do that. And I was like, why don't you just smoke the weed, save money? Because he also never had money. And then finally, the reason he quit is because he found out like extracting it with butane can cause little holes in your brain. So he's like,
well, I mean, either which way, it's like, like that's my biggest thing with all drugs is if it's somewhat natural, like weed, it's a plant. I got it. I dried the bud. Now I smoke it.
Coke together. I mean,
well, you have to
listen. The leaves are natural. You just got to extract it with a little bit of gasoline.
If you were to have the coke leaves or whatever they are, like the coca leaves, or I don't know what they're called, but if you were to have the leaves, I would probably chew that like dip.
Does that even work though?
Yeah, it's just very mild, and like that's the thing. It's like smoking weed, not that bad, but like then
have you done coke?
Like twice, and it doesn't really do anything.
Oh, it would. No. One day we're gonna do coke together
when we're rich and famous, and
yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna be a dork about it too, because look. Fentanyl is also a big ruiner of things too.
Yes.
Because of being able to be smarter and like to think about like what I'm doing instead of like letting just straight addiction control me and fucking be like, I have to get it. I'm able to be like, well, like, who are you getting that from? Do they have a prescription? Like my brother would always be like, hey, I found these for these really good price. And I'm like, do you see the prescription bottle? Is it real? Does it look real? Like, what do they look like? And
yeah, because you can make pills, can't you?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a big thing. Look, I don't want to put him under too much shit, but that's what he's doing right now, and they're not real. And I'm like, they can't control what they put into those.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I understand going through that shit. We're both young, and I did introduce him to it, but only he can find the strength within himself to stop.
Yeah.
That's it. Unless somebody wants to do it, and that's how sad it is. Unless somebody's like, hey, I do have a problem. And it doesn't matter. Like you can think in your mind, I'm responsible with it. I'm doing it very recreationally. You're still playing with fire because like some things like the tramadol and shit like that, Adderall, it was really hard to like regulate, like to actually, get down to where it's just like, hey, let's not do too much. And then you're just like, well, I don't function normally without it. And then some of the resolve that you had, that's the one big thing is when like I am saying, hey, we're not going to do it this day. But then my brain's like, well, this is why we can do it this way. Then I'm like, oh, that's why I just try to tell my kids so much, never pick up smoking because
it explains
pain pills, coke, all this stuff has never like, and I'm talking about 2 weeks after I'm not doing it anymore, just being like, you know what, we can smoke a cigarette right now. My brain's just like, we can do it.
Years later.
And nicotine does nothing.
Yes.
Like, I'm not getting high. At least if I were to do some pain pills, I'd feel good. At least if I fucking did some coke, I'd have a little bit of energy, feel a little bit invincible.
I'm like 6 weeks away from nicotine. I have not touched it at all.
I went back. Like, I don't think
MADHD
knows.
But yeah, I'm 6 weeks away from it, and literally every time you light a cigarette, I'm like, I could just ask, like for one, like it's just one. It's just one.
It's so crazy, man, because
and it'd been years when you first came around. Like it'd been years since I think because my buddy Josh was the last person to smoke, and he'd quit smoking for a while. Like one of the last times we hung out, I was like, hey, could I get a cigarette? He's like, no, I quit like 3 months ago. I was like, proud of him. I'm like, yeah, good for you. But like in this moment, like I thought, ooh, a cigarette could be in my vicinity and I can smoke it. And then like, I don't have to buy one. So then I'm not going to like fall off the wagon. I'll be fine. I'll just smoke 1 or 2 with him and then we'll be good. And then you showed up and like from that moment, you just kept showing up, like, cause we started working together at that point. And then like, I started buying cigarettes again. Like it was that quick of years without it. Like, I mean, 1 or 2 here and there, but like years without me buying cigarettes or vaping or anything. And then you came around and within a week I was buying cigarettes again. Because
that's the craziest shit, dude.
And like now I'm 6 weeks away from it and I'm still like, at any point in time, I could just be like,
because no other drug has had that effect on me. Like once I quit and I'm a week away from it, I'm just like, sometimes I'm gonna tell you, like the only one that I'll get like and another one too I've never done before, and I don't know why, but I'll just like you know how, what is it with food? What do you call it when you crave something?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll get a craving for Coke. I don't know why, because it's just that's why when you say you done it twice, I was like, I don't know if you really did it then.
And I think
I don't know if you really did it then.
I think there's different, like, I think there's drugs that hit people differently. Like, I mean, there's a reason why people become alcoholics, stoners, fucking cokeheads, crackheads,
right,
like all that.
I'll tell people, like, I'll be like, yeah, when I do pain pills, you know, I get a really good euphoria and I have a bunch of energy. And they're like, that's not what I see when people do pain pills. I'm like, yeah, you'll see people do. Well, I think if you do the right amount of pain pills, you should just get the euphoria. Once you start like slurring your words and shit,
Yeah, you went too far.
You've done too far. And then some of them, like the more powerful ones, like Opana and shit like that, when that shit started really hitting the streets and people were doing that, and like you would throw up after snorting. And I'm just like, you're already too far into it. Like it's not what you should do. But like I'll tell people, like I'm doing this to literally get the euphoria, to be like up and more active. And they're like, on pain pills? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, fuck, when I do it, I shut down. I'm just like, I think you're just doing too much.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the crazy thing, is that it's so person to person dependent about what, like, I've done pain pills for prescription reasons, and for, like, when I was working at the factory, I was working with them on, or like one main pill head, and, you know, like I was like, my back hurts or like something, and I was like, do you have something, as in like ibuprofen or like something like mild? And he's like, well, here's this, and would just give me some of whatever the fuck he had. I don't even remember what they were. And, you know, for me, all it did was like, it kind of it made everything like feel okay. But then afterwards, like shit that didn't hurt started hurting. I was like, oh, I didn't notice this fucking kink in my neck and this, like, you know, little lower back pain, like all the stuff that I just kind of numbed out. Like, it doesn't affect me enough that all of a sudden, once the full effects of the painkiller wore off, like things started hurting that weren't hurting before. And I was like, I don't really want to like continuously try and block out all the rest of the little things that I was avoiding, because then now I'm just going to want to take them all the time to make myself like feel almost nothing, like feel good, because I don't feel any pain. And so that's what kept me away from those. But like, there's like with Coke, I guess I can't really tell, because I've always done it when I was drinking, smoking weed, and then there was Coke. So it wasn't like, I really feel like when I tell people about psychedelics and everything, it's totally different if you do psychedelics by themselves, or if you're drunk and then go into psychedelics, or if you're stoned and then go into psychedelics, or, you know, like mixing all this stuff together. It's different.
Yeah, see, because when I would do it, like if I would do it and I'd be drinking, I just wouldn't know I was drunk. I'd be like, man,
pills?
No, Coke. I'd be like, I'm putting down these beers.
Yeah.
I've done some shots, man, and I'm just like, it must be this Irish in me. And then, you know,
that's what psychedelics does for me.
We'd run out of Coke for the night, and then I'd just be like, fuck's happening, guys?
I'm drunk.
Something's happening. I think I'm having a stroke or something. Something's fucking just like get more and more drunk. I'm outside.
Yeah, we ate some mushrooms on Easter weekend, like it was actually Easter Sunday, down at Myrtle Beach, and we woke up in enough time that the sun hadn't rose so we could eat the mushrooms. The mushrooms would kick in as the sun rose over top of the beach, and like we would just have like the coolest fucking Easter Sunday ever. And we did that, and then as soon as the sun rose and we like had our little time down there, we went back to the camp and we started playing beer pong and just started getting like shit-faced drunk. But when you're tripping, you don't get drunk. And so then like about lunchtime was rolling around, and the buzz from the mushrooms were wearing off, and we just went into like, you know,
alcohol poisoning.
What's the one with Johnny Depp, the it's Bad Country, like fucking, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Oh, where they're on the fucking
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yeah. And that's basically
you
what
immediately said it, and I'm like, they're in a desert, and I'm just, I couldn't think of it.
Like that's what it felt like. Was it's just like boom, like just all of a sudden, like the psychedelics turned off, and then all of a sudden now you're just like shit faced, and everything's like so fucked.
The one thing I am like super proud about though is because I think about cigarettes, and then I hear about the you know, heroin, crack, and meth being like and I'm like, fuck, I could not live. Mm-mm. I could not live my life just. I don't want to dissuade anybody that's not, that, you know, that's clean and sober from the big three, from doing it. But fuck, that just sounds rough. And to live every single day, just like cigarettes, because that's the one thing we have to be like, maybe they are as bad, maybe they aren't.
Yeah.
But you always hear that is as addictive as.
What was it? I think Nick Swartzen did a joke on that. He's like, my buddy told me that quitting smoking cigarettes is harder than quitting heroin. So I picked up heroin, and he's a fucking liar.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's pretty good. I don't know. Heroin never piqued my interest though, because you'd see people doing heroin, and you're just like, you look like death. You look like you die. And then I have never. One real sad one. We fucking. Matt's buying some drugs, okay? So we go into this apartment complex, and this lady's in there, and there's just this little kid running around while mom has a fucking rubber band on, look. I'm like, that's a dead person right there. He's like, oh no, she's just doing heroin. And I was like, I don't. That does not feel like something.
Especially when you got a little one. Like that's one of the things that I think, I'm proud of you for what you've been through and where you're at and all that. But like, when that kid comes, like, if it doesn't change you, I don't know what's going on in your brain. Because like that instant that you see that kid, it's like, well, this is a fucking different life now. Like, this is
what makes you feel better. I think that lady's dead though. I think she overdosed like a couple years
terrible.
Like, it is, yeah. But you think about it.
Yeah, for the kid.
Well, you think about it. Think about cigarettes and what you're going through now, and just think if that was heroin, or if crack and meth. I don't really put on the set because I've never heard of anybody overdosing off of crack. Meth. The only time I've heard people of overdosing off of meth is when they put fentanyl in it. So
yeah, if they go too far.
That's what's crazy too, though, is also back then fentanyl wasn't as prevalent. So
it wasn't prevalent at all.
So when you had people doing heroin, they weren't really overdosing. That's why.
Wasn't there something that came before fentanyl that they were I don't know, maybe I am misremembering, but I could have sworn there was something that was being mixed into drugs that was.
No, that's when they called it Diablo, and it was fentanyl that they were mixing in, but they had a name for it. Yeah. So, because it's crazy. I was like out there in the time where they're like restricting all the pain pills. During the time that they're restricting the pain pills, that's when you start hearing about fentanyl. And I was just like, man, that's way too coincidental for it not to be a conspiracy. And nobody just like picked up on that. It was like, hey, we can, now that, we've got all these people addicted to pain pills, let's take all this away, and then we'll flood the market with this, heroin infused fentanyl and fucking get rid of this drug problem. That's how I viewed it.
Just taking the drug users out.
Because, you get all these addicts, and then it's your own little form of population control.
It's crazy because, like, you are taking people out, but
it was at the same time.
But you are taking people out, but for the most part, you're just creating like these people that are living out here on the streets and in these camps, and like, yes, some of them are dying, but a lot of them are just like so far down the. But now the
government's making money off of it with this unboxing and shit like that too. It's just all a fuck cycle.
It is
of, I don't know, education, and just. It's so funny too, because when you hang out with people who are dealing coke, I mean, they have cooking crack and shit like that, and because you can make infinitely more doing that. The people I was hanging out with were pretty content cutting shit up more, or if they had like a not as cut kilo, they would fucking put other shit in it, cut it up more, and that's how they would fucking stretch out their money. But you would encounter people that would cook crack, you would encounter crackheads and shit like that, and then you would see that too. And it's so funny because people would be like, well, education doesn't do it. No, I would learn from cokeheads about crackheads, people that were selling cocaine to crackheads, and they'd be like, it's fucking, that guy's going to be high for maybe 35 minutes and then have to, and I'm just like, there's a point where drugs, like, you get a look of desperation.
Yeah.
And that's where I've always judged the scariness of drugs, like Adderall. I've never seen anybody like, fuck, I gotta fucking do it. Once you start get to like the pain pill level, fuck, I gotta fucking do it. Like,
yeah. Well, because you have the withdrawals from it, like, that can be painful and like legit not let you just. But the craziest thing, and like this is something that I think you've harped on before, is like pretty much one of the only ones, or like one of the top ones, that you can die from withdrawals is alcohol.
Yep.
And you can
and Xanaxes.
But like alcohol, anybody can go buy it. Anybody can become addicted to it. And like, it's like nothing.
And then every single ad you see is just, and it's not only that too, it's just, every single week, every single, month, teenagers just consuming too much, dying in a fucking field. And now instead of saying alcohol poisoning, they'll list it under like natural causes and shit. Kid at a fucking party drinks too much and just fucking, that's crazy. Because once like if someone has like a heart attack or some shit like that, or say their kidney shut down from alcohol poisoning, you just be like, yeah, natural causes, kidney shut down, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle.
I'm not going to say that's as much of a conspiracy, because here's the thing too, because I talk about this desperation. I have encountered a lot of people who like to drink alcohol. I have very rarely encountered like people, recreational drugs. I like to tell people, I was able to do it recreationally. I would get to points where it wasn't recreational. It was like, you have to do it because you've done it now. Mm-hmm. But looking at a lot of people, 99.9999% could not do it recreationally. They did it and they do it, and that's their personality, and all they're thinking about is getting more if they don't have it, and if they do have it, how they're going to get more after they use it. With alcohol, there's so many levels. I think alcohol is one of them where like you have to use that as a real crutch for something emotional going on, and it has to be something that you drink every day to get away from something. I mean, I've seen people who drink a couple beers every day that don't fucking get to the level of alcoholism. I mean, sure, is that person going to have problems with their liver when they get older?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's still none of them come without their health concerns. I mean, even like fucking exercising like a maniac, you have health problems from that. And like, it can be,
because now people are doing fucking like trainable and shit with it.
But like, I mean, even without it, like you get a runner's high and like you become addicted to that. Like, and so yes, they're definitely better.
That's the craziest one when you see like a skeleton guy who's just like, man, and running. And I'm just like
35 miles today.
Yeah, done 30. It took me to 35 miles to get. I'm like, bro, you ever heard of a tolerance break? Like, just don't run don't run for a couple weeks, and I don't know, see if you get it earlier.
Yeah. But like, that's definitely a healthier addiction. But that's the crazy thing with alcohol though, is there's tons of people that are just not, they're addicted. They are addicted kind of like a cigarette smoker, or like almost like a social smoker.
Right.
Where, they drink a couple beers, they go home. Then there's the people that drink a fucking 30 rack in a day. And then there's the people that drink a fucking fifth of vodka.
That are shaking when they wake up.
And then there's the people that like can't survive at all without a drink. And,
But usually when I hear about like those stories, or I've seen those people, it was never of something of, I was hanging out with my friends and then I just kept drinking and I had to drink more. It was always someone like, I watched my sister get fucking shot in front of me. So I drink this every day to fucking just like rinse away those. Yeah. It's always just a horrible, sad story. But the crazy part too is like alcohol, that's where I saw more of that at. But like people will be like, people who get pain pills, they've lived a traumatic life, and it's trauma and all that. And I'm like, no, pain pills, that's a different beast, because the people I've seen addicted to those, they came from good families. They just fucked up by, I don't know, breaking their leg or having a wisdom tooth removed. That's how addictive that shit is. Whereas alcohol, you see people going through that, their wife died, Well,
and I mean, you do have the people that like they had bad, like, shit, why can't I think of the word?
Dramatic.
Well, no, they just had like bad influences of like when they're growing up, like they saw their parents use alcohol, or they fought, and like there's so many ways that you can be you can turn what isn't a problem into a problem just because like you see it as a certain way. And so like, yes, you have a bad influence of like, an uncle that thinks that like, oh yeah, you're at 16, you can drink, and then you become his drinking buddy, and then all of a sudden you're drinking all the time, and like you go down a path that your parents didn't set you up for.
Right.
And like there's tons of ways that you can do it, but a lot of them, you can be from trauma. But the biggest thing though is like the pills aren't there to treat trauma.
Pills are the only one, because they were prescribed by physicians to
and the alcohol's not there to heal your trauma. The fucking marijuana and like, I guess, yes, technically psychedelics can, with a fucking therapist, not just you and fucking,
Not you just like doing it out in the woods, just being like,
you and a girl named Whisper that, you found some fucking mushrooms. Like, no, you should get the therapist there to be like, hey, bud, what?
You should
what
get
happened?
an STD test after the
Whisper experience.
Yes, the Whisper experience. Definitely get, because they'll be like, yeah, I had gonorrhea, but I cured it with some cranberry juice. Yeah. It's like, why the fuck would you tell me this after we had sex?
I licked your butthole and everything.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, you got chlamydia. I didn't get the syphilis off my butthole. I'm still working on that. And you're like, fuck. All right, guys, listen. This is definitely, look, I love stories where we talk about, like, the fucking past and shit like that, because everybody's lived, I think, like, even the most boring, you grew up on a cul-de-sac, you had crazy experiences. Yeah, just crazy experiences. I love episodes like these where we talk about stories. If you guys want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/Mike or Dylan. We have that all figured out. And Dylan, is there anything you want to add? Nothing?
No.
All right. Well, listen, I can't wait to see you next time. I love you so much. And I hope you do well in life and live. You hear the stories that we tell and you're like, look, I don't want to do any of that shit.
No.
So that's the key to living a real good life. That's the best advice.
Live vicariously through us and
through the stories we warn you with. We're not, we're warning you with these stories. Yeah. Well, it sounds, Mike, when you talk about
recommendations.
Yeah, every other drug but coke, you sound like you had a really good time.
So that one's a good to go.
Listen, if you have the money, go for it. If you don't, stay away from
under medical supervision from
like if there's ever a point where I'm making hundreds of millions of dollars, because here's the thing, I know coke prices, and they'll be like, this millionaire blew all of their money with coke, and I'm like, how many people is he buying it for?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ! Like, what do you can literally,
you can just move to fucking Colombia and have your own operation.
There's no amount you could snort that's going to take like your hundreds of millions of dollars. Listen, I'm out there cheering for Oscar De La Hoya.
Diddy parties. Diddy parties.
Yeah, you're buying it for everybody at that point. If you think about yourself, then it's not really that bad. But look, guys, we'll see you next time.
Later.